Thank you, Hara'im Habab Jadef Reye Hatap, and welcome everybody. Apologies for the slightly late start, but we're getting cracking on now. So, Mother, a Circle of Existence, the final part of I think, 5-part series. So we'll be getting that today and working through. There's still so much that's probably going to be left on the table, but seek out the book from your local All Eyes in Egypt store. And as I say, these series of classes that we've been doing will help you to get a proper understanding if you've got the book already, or if you get the book in the future. So All Eyes in Egypt, Midlands and the North, welcome to those joining us on Facebook live. If you do want the full interactive experience, then the link is in the chat area to join us in the Zoom platform. However, if you wish to stay on Facebook, that is absolutely fine. Okay, so what we're going to do just quickly, is just run a quick poll just to make sure everybody can hear me correctly. Hopefully this works correctly. I should fix this issue. So can you hear me clearly over the Aum chant in the background? So if you just vote either yes or no. So can you hear my voice clearly over the Aum chant in the background? So if you can't see, the poll should appear on your screen. You just need to put yes or no. Some devices you might need to swipe left or right to see the poll. So can you hear me clearly over the Aum chant? I'll give you a few more seconds to answer that. If you cannot, or for some reason you can't, then put those details in the chat and we'll see how best we can assist you. Okay, so it seems most can. And then the second check we just want to do is, can you see the visuals okay? So you should be able to see a newspaper graphic on the front with the title, Wu-Sabat Outformation Classes UK. Okay, give you a few more seconds to answer that. Again, might need to swipe left or right just to be able to see the presentation screen, depending on your device. Okay, excellent. Obviously, if you've dialed in, you won't be able to see any screen, so that's fine. Okay, so we're going to start off with Partakiod, allowing us to connect with our ancestors, a prayer of positive affirmation, a form of positive thinking, so that we have a positive and excellent class for today. So Partakiod. So I'm going to say it in the Sabaic language and then translate that into English for those unfamiliar or unable to speak the language. Abdoi Kaleh Namazurat Wu Fakur Ame Kasam Empa Paut Anuki Jawef Pa Ashuk Empa Paut Wu Kaleh Ashuk Kawun Jawef Naya Anuki Kasam Empa Paut Wu Pa Paut Kasam Em Naya Anuki Wahu Ame Pa Paut Wu Pa Paut Kawun Wahu Ameh Naya Nakuk Kadur Naju Ameh Kasam Empa Paut Wu Khabub Ameh Mushakhas Nakuk Kadur Kawan Kaleh Pafef Nakuk Tayur Jawef Pa Paut Ameh Wase Ameh Tayarni Kawun Lakei Bakoy Jawef Pa Paut Anuki Yabed Bi Nafashni Pa'ut kawun anuki. Pa'ut kadur nakuk kadur. Pa'ut amul nakuk amul. So we started off by saying begin all prayers and thinking as a part of the all expanding. And we said, I'm in the divine love of the all expanding, and all divine love is in me. I am a part of the all expanding, and the all expanding is a part of me. I am one as the all expanding, and the all expanding is one as me. I can succeed as a part of the all expanding and fail as an individual person. I can be all that I want in the all expanding, as long as my want is to stay in the all expanding. I am never by myself. The all expanding is, I am. The all expanding can, I can. The all expanding does, I do. So again, that was a positive affirmation from the Sabian culture known as Partakiod, the affirmation. Now, join us for the first time on Zoom. Just quickly run you through the settings. So need to adjust your audio settings. You have a button here on your left. If you need to adjust that for any reason, or select a new device in that regard. Now we have 3 icons here. This is an interactive session. It's not just me talking and you listening. So ask questions if you do not understand something. But the first icon is a chat icon. If you basically have any feedback, just basically not questions, then put that in the chat area, positive, negative, whatever. So chat area, got some feedback, share some information, etc. Then use a chat facility for that. Select everyone as your distribution option. So that means that everybody then can see what you are saying, and then obviously press the return or whatever the arrow is to allow your chat or post to appear. Then you've got 2 options of asking questions. If you raise your hand, you can come through verbally and then ask your question to me directly as your student teacher for today. So lower your hand. What will happen is the facilitator today will call your name and then give you the ability to unmute yourself. You'll see this message appear on the front of your screen. Just simply unmute yourself and then you'll be able to speak. If you've dialed in, then those options are *9 to raise your hand and then *6 to mute or unmute yourself. You will have the ability to mute yourself and unmute yourself at will once we give you that permission. So once you've asked your question, stay muted as to not disturb the rest of the class for today. And then the other way to ask questions is in a written form. So if you don't want to come through verbally to ask your question, simply type in your question by pressing the Q&A button. And then at the appropriate time, we'll ask, is there any questions? And the facilitator will ask that on your behalf. If there's something that's not clear or any further clarification, they may ask you then just to simply re-ask your question or ask it again. If you have any follow-ups, just simply, again, use the same button and it'll be read out on your behalf. Okay, so no quiz questions today. We have got it working back again, so in future classes, expect some recap quizzes. So you're not just sitting there and not checking whether you really understand what is being expressed. So it's not about us, certainly as student teachers on these platforms, being heavy. I can talk for ages. I sit here for 7 hours and talk. That's how much outformation come into in the form of information the master teacher's given us. So to sit there and talk for, as they say in this country, talk for England. You understand? But that's not the purpose of why we're here. The purpose of why we're here as student teachers is that this doctrine called Wu-Sabat, not only does it need to be conveyed, but it also, more importantly, needs to be understood. Otherwise, we're here for no reason. So the purpose of you asking questions is so that you understand and get to a point where you retain the information and master, as I say, various aspects of our culture. You understand? It's not about us, as I say, handing heavy. It's about you understanding what is being taught by this individual that's been sent to us as individuals are sent to all different races to realign them back again with natural nature, so they can fairly, you understand, fulfill their true purpose in life. So let's start off then to who is that person that we're talking about. Well, we affectionately refer to him as the master teacher because he's a master at teaching, not because of how of what he does, but because of what he does and what he claims to be. Now, you're going to know that until you, as I say, judge a tree by the fruit it bears. So understand or look at the works and then see if, well, this is a person who knows how to teach, because that's what a master teacher is. And hence, you see that term being, as we're talking about, mother of existence. Yes, the first two letters there, isn't that what we call our mothers, isn't it? Ma. Yeah, and so we see here another word here phonetically, star. Yeah, ma, star. Yeah, so this mother star or mother teacher gives birth to student teachers who are, as their children, who are out there teaching this doctrine or sharing it around the world. Understood? As all of you are also teachers. Yeah, so for our race, we need a each one teach one policy, but it's facts that are required, not opinions. Understood? Facts are required, which helps us to come together and unify as a people. Yeah, because every teaching that we've had has said our strength obviously is in our unity, which is true. And we have to understand that and come together mentally first, and then the physical unity will follow. Now, born in Takoradi, Ghana, 26 June, coming up very soon, in fact, 1945, to Mary Abba Akran York. Understood? So a star sits within a universe. Understood? It has obviously forms a solar system, but it sits within a universe. And in this particular instance, understood, yeah, that mother is important. So it always starts with the Sacred Femi-nine. Depending on how we use our time today, we may get to understand that a lot better. I'm trying not to go into another part on this, but if it happens, then it is what it is. So Mary Abba Akran York, also known as Fatima, as you see on the screen, her birth and transition date on August the 4th, 2012, was the mother of Dr. Malachi Z York. And it's always important that we understand the genetics, obviously, that give birth to who we are respecting or calling our teachers, in some cases leaders, in this regard. And simply because you're understanding not only who they are, but when they're teaching, well, how do they define words, etc., and how do they come around? So we need to do an in-depth study, not only for our own self in that regard, and understanding our 4 generations, but also who's teaching us. Understood? Because you have to understand that we have an outformation to information distribution of how we're taught. Understood? Yes, and the books is just the medium that's been used, because one of the interesting things about books is that it tends to outlast a person beyond the point of their death. If you think about us as the Kadem Mukmatu or ancient Egyptians, we recorded everything, understood, externally and also internally, and it's been able to last through the ages. So it becomes an excellent medium, understood? So reading, as we know, so they want to hide something from a black man, I think it said not black person, but black man, then put it in a book, you understand, or the Negro, maybe, put it in the book. You know, that Negro is a hybrid of, you know, the so-called slave trade, falsely called slave trade, where there was a violent interception within our genetics that forcibly put the Mukasu or the Caucasian within our genes, and the same through raping our women or forcibly putting them in situations where they had to perform sexual favors for protection of their family. You understand? So the ultimate sacrifice was made by many of our sacred feminine, because the men weren't in a position to protect the women in that regard. So a horrific act was performed and violation was done against our genetics, understood, which the natural forces of nature are now seeking to remove that from our genes, which Wu-Sabat is part of the medicine that we partake of, understood, to almost perform an internal exorcism on our genes to realign ourselves back and find ourselves worthy to vibrate in the higher states of ether at 7, 8, and 9, which will always be of our own ancestry. 6 ether and below would always be of foreign ancestry. So we have to get back to purifying our genetics and our genes once again, as I say, from this forcible interception, which created, as I say, a hybrid, the Negro, you understand? The Negro, as I say, which is mentally dead, you understand, for the word necro, you understand, which means dead or death, understood, or Latin word negra, you understand, which means dead or death. Yeah, and so we were mentally dead, needing to be resurrected as a people. And part of that resurrection, and even the core of what we call in Wu-Sabat, it is starts with a feminine origin first. Understood? So it's important that we understand the importance of Mary Dr.York, arguably because of the conditions that we find ourselves in, the most important sacred feminine born in the last 6,000 years. Because she birthed the solution that we had cried out for. We didn't even know what we were looking for, but what we required was our own spiritual science once again to unify us as a people and reconnect us with our ancestors, our deities that looked exactly like who we were. We were their children, not only physically, but also esoterically, and so that we would be connected, connected to our true power source once again, freeing us from idol worship. Idol worship is IDLE, not IDOL. Idol worship is us putting our emotional energy into foreign deities that don't look like us. And when we do that, basically we get nothing from it, only but pain and suffering. You understand? Monotheistic religion makes us as a people, as I say, subservient to other races, because basically what's happening is we are diverting our natural etheric energy into deities that basically will never, ever answer our requests because we're not of their bloodline. Understood? So they know what they're doing when they get us to be part of their stuff and not part of our own stuff. Yeah, so Mary Dr.York is an excellent symbol of that. And so in our tribal system, we have clan mothers, and here you see it in a clan mother attire. And through the mitochondrial line, when she transitioned, her daughter was appointed to that position. Yeah, Kimamtat Mukpatauret Atum Reye, who occupies the seat of clan mother at this particular time. So his father, sacred masculine, Hadi Abdul Rahman Al Mahdi, saying ties into, the royal family in Sudan. And this is from his sacred masculine side from one generation. So the two of them coming together played an exceptionally important role in allowing, as I say, this individual to be born, and then our ancestors to come through and have a vehicle or a vessel in order to be able to speak through. All of it tying back to our ancient Egyptian ancestry, pre-dynastic ancestry, Napata and Moreau. But our origins, our genetic origins start in South Africa first with Project 24 and the Sands people. Now, in order to teach us in this day and time, as we've said many times, I always feel like I'm repeating myself, but we didn't rely on paleontologists, archaeologists, etc. We're not digging up the ground to find out our origin and our story. In order to find out our story starts off in the stars. It starts off with the black dot that we were talking about, understood? We're there from the very origin of things. And so our story starts with outformation, yeah? Outformation meaning outside of this planet, understood? Information deals with what is within this planet, and we need outformational ancestors are informing our informational present being, understood? And so the vehicle or vessel that is used for that throughout the ages and this day and time is what is known as Amun Nabab Raya Akhta. The ancient Egyptians referred to this being as Thahutwi, understand, or Tahuti, some say. Yeah, a vehicle or a vessel that allows our ancestors to communicate information that we need to aid our transformation and realign ourselves with natural nature back in this day and time. Understood? So a certain combination was needed. If you go back to part 1, we go through it in more detail of this particular class, or even part 3 of this class, where, as I say, to deal with the religious degrees in the first 30 years, a combination of Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi, so this was the who we call the master teacher at age 25, where he was in house, as I say, by being they referred to as El Khadir, or the Green One, which basically done an excellent job of dealing with removing the spell of sleep from amongst our people, dealing with the religious degrees, because we wanted religion. And Zanzo said, I came giving you what you want, so you would learn to want what I really came to give. So he wasn't ready for Wu-Sabat. He wanted to worship Allah, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad's, Abraham's, etc., etc. We thought that our validity of who we were came from our worship of these deities of the Bible and the Quran and the Torah, who are nothing but extraterrestrials of the Sumerian doctrine known as the Anunnaki. Understand? In combination with the Pleiadians. Understood? So in dealing with or removing all of that bad information, understood, that had affected our formation or our form, yeah, and warped our mind to have us in a state of belief as opposed to dealing with facts and reality, that combination was, as I say, Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi and al-Khadir, the Green One. Then in 1996, a book called The Holy Tablets was produced, also known as the Book of Lamb, predicted by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was produced. And this was the bridge between religion and reality, in order to prepare us to be ready for our own stuff and our own doctrine, known today as Wu-Sabat. And that combination then was Dr. Malachi Z, Dr. York and the internal being known as Ba'h B'ah Yaanuwn, understood, who the Egyptians, as I say, referred to these particular group, which modern day words would use the term extraterrestrials, maybe, but I suppose they're much greater than that, but would use that terminology as Ba'h B'ah Yaanuwn. Now, the Egyptians referred to these beings as the Natharu, which is where they get the English word nature from, but their true name is really Pa Morzaku, yeah, the providers. Yeah, Natharu means overseers. I went through in the previous parts the what they call hieroglyphs, but the Safaf script that dealt with them as the free flags. Yeah, so free flags, which really looks like 3 nines, but free flags is the Safafat for the Natharu, understand, whose proper name is Morzaku, yeah, the providers. Yes, and so the Sirius star system, which interconnects with our Sirius star system, which is one pivotal star constellations, as well as Orion, that deals with our that deals with our culture, representing the deity Arashtat. Some say Isis. Understood? Yes, Sirius connected with female or sacred feminine DNA, and the Orion or Sahat constellation of Orion dealing with sacred masculine DNA. Now, Sirius star constellation is the bridge between the 18th and the 19th galaxy, understood, where our etheric ancestors, known as the Parmozaku, reside or come from. Understood? So again, this combination was needed to, as I say, raise their children back to the ways of Wu-Sabat. Yeah, so we've gone through, as I say, various different parts of this mother, other circle of existence, as I say, to bring you back to certain realities and the importance of the sacred feminine. Now, that doesn't mean that for the purposes of what our understanding is that men are weak, or they're supposed to be almost some subservient in that regard to women. It just means that we have to understand that our origin and respect, look again, respect the fact that that's our origin. We are a matriarchal people, we are a matriarchal society and culture, and our systems should reflect the rules of natural nature, because that brings us closer to our ancestors and our designers, and helps us and aids us in the best way to stay in sync with the frequency of Wu-Sabat, to aid our ascension journey, so that we can become who we are, as opposed to what we have become based on the decisions that we have made, often for survival, within an environment that wasn't conducive for raising Nwep Mokwan, supreme, or Nwep Mokwanat, supreme beings, which is who we are. Not men and women, we're supreme beings. Yes, man is one step above beast in the divine hierarchy of things. Understood? So we are supreme beings. And this is what this doctrine of Wu-Sabat is seeking to realign your mind with the mental, so that you have at least the best opportunity in this environment to become optimum. Even though, as I say, we're not necessarily, because of the cancer of racism within the environment, the opportunity to be our best selves. Okay, so let's get into the class today. If I say people got any questions, then feel free to raise their hand or ask using the appropriate buttons. Okay, so let's get to where we were. So, I say, if you've missed any of the previous parts, they're on our YouTube channel. So feel free to check those out when you have time. Where was we now? Okay. Right, so if memory serves me correctly, we were around about here, and we were dealing with the fact that let's just go back. We were explaining certain symbols, and so we were showing you that basically this Safaf script, and one of the important things about the Safaf is the fact that we're able to explain it today as part of the Majushu Tashrak, the Student Teachers Association. The fact that we're able to be explaining, understand something today, is showing there's a reconnection with our ancestors. Is evidence of that, because excuse me, we've got a master teacher who's been able to break it down in certain books, and now we're being able to see these patterns and symbols in their proper form, and being able to explain. Understood? And I say part 1 and 2, we were sort of going through this in a lot of detail. It's just something I want to just talk about in the first instance. Find it. Which is this verse from Natural Ether Energy, verse 41. And so I always kind of start with this because it's important. So it says, in Kadem Mahmat, ancient Egypt, or Tamaray, your Salafu ancestors, Musbatu, Sabians, in Wu-Sabat, we use Ramaz symbol to explain an example of the Olam Sakhamat, hidden powers of the visible, yet invisible bara space. So the area of existence that we cannot see with our physical eyes, at least, we're using symbols because what you see, it represents, sometimes I say a picture represents 1,000 words. Well, what these symbols enable us to do is to peer in or have a greater understanding of the darkness, which you now hopefully understand from these classes, not hopefully, but should understand from these classes, that our origin is from the darkness. It's not respected in this world because the focus is on light, which to us as Kadem or Kmatu or ancient Egyptians or Musbatu as Sabians recognize that this was the light is chaos. You understand? The darkness or the world of things, you understand, is obviously where it is supreme balancement. You understand? Darkness, tranquil, peace, which is important, as opposed to the, let's say, world of light, which is chaos, where the confusion, etc., comes in. So let's just go back to where we were. So we were explaining to you just some of the symbols, and the one that we had, I suppose, we're focused on was a derivative. You understand? There's another word I want to use, but I can't say it properly. A derivative of the placenta. Yes, because when we look at the placenta, we see it's shown as two sort of symbols here. Yeah. Now, the important thing here, we show you that there are female and male Atharu in that regard. And we'll show you that the tat symbol, which we explained previously, is where they get the word tits from. Understood? Yes, is symbolic of a loaf of bread. And it's, if you think about a female pregnant, obviously that bread, or it's going to grow, and there's a term in England, I think I said it before, bun in the oven. I don't know if it applies to other parts of the world, of a pregnant female. You can see that clearly that has come from some understanding of the hieroglyphs or safaf of ancient Egypt. And the term nabab, yes, you can see it's that inverted symbol there, filled in now, which means master. Yes, so we see these symbols here, and now we're getting to understand what they mean. And as I said, nabab, master, and we see here, interesting enough, that there's the same principle with the inverted symbol that has a similar function. Do you understand? Because master, you understand, or mothership, some might see it as, is what we are seeing there, birthing other smaller ships. Yes, other. Understood? Yeah, if you're seeing the way certain things are patterned in so much detail that it's amazing to look at. But what we're doing and what you're listening to is that you're just seeking, really, yes, to get yourself back into the mindset. The reason why the books are important, which somebody asked a really good question in the last class about this power called Hanu, mentioned in the book called Sacred Wisdom, yeah, is that the book itself, or the books themselves, have magical powers. They're called the beautiful words, and that sounds crazy to say that, but obviously it's been infused with a certain type of energy, and certain symbols are used and certain things of that nature. So obviously when you're reading it, yeah, it's shaping your being, isn't it? It's called information. So information puts you in a certain type of formation. Now, the 9 principles of a human being, remember, it's feet. You don't just derive energy from the food that you eat. Yeah. So sometimes when you're picking up a book and you read something profound, the information, we use the term heavy, but slang, but yeah, you can be infused with energy just from reading. You understand? You read something, and this is powerful, and you start walking around the room because what you've heard or what you've read is so profound. So it can also be in what we hear, etc., etc. So you're placing yourself in a position where you are being informed. You understand? Are you reading the book, or is the book reading you? This is what you have to understand. Yeah? Are you reading the book, or is the book reading you? When you open it, yes, you've now put yourself in a position now to be taught. Yeah. So what happens is, when you open the book, what's happening is you're allowing your ancestors, by way of the Ba'h B'ah Yaanuwn, by way of the master teacher, now to re-add to you that which was lost. So this is why you're placing yourself in a position. Yeah? You're humbling yourself now to learn or study, which is the most important thing. Not just re-add, but to study as well. Master what the master has taught. Yeah, because when you master it, it becomes part of you, isn't it? Yeah. And so the part of the breaking the spell was that even all of this stuff would be of interest, because, as I say, the Mukasu thought he'd done a great job in making you not even want to be known about this. Now, forget about that Egyptian stuff. You understand? No, man, that's anti-Moses. Yeah, it's anti-Moses. Yeah, that's how we was programmed. Anti-Moses. And that's really anti-Moses. Yeah, it's basically anti-Africa. That's what they're saying. Yeah, because Egypt is in Africa. Yeah, so what they were subliminally saying is that they were teaching us to be anti-African, yeah, anti our culture. And so this medicine of Wu-Sabat deals with that successfully. Understood? And so but the way in which they try to trap this information from getting out there is that they create terms like black supremacist and different things of that nature. And we have to understand the fact that, hey, in order to go through what our ancestors go through and what we've been today, in order for us to get back to a position where we're balanced again, in order for us to be sort of cured, we have to have the truth about what certain situations are and who other races are and who they are to us and how they've behaved. Yeah, and so the Mukasu has caused us great problems in the last 6,000 years. So some of those conversations that we have to have in order to cure ourselves may sound to the untrained ear anti-white. They're not anti-white. It's just we're dealing with facts of what has happened. Yeah, if you went into a situation where you went into a hostel and it was a refuge for women who were victims of domestic violence, in order to rebalance that person who's suffered from that torture, whatever eventuality, some of those conversations would sound anti-men. Yeah, in rebalancing the woman back to her to be balanced again, to have confidence in men, if that's how she wants to move, but confidence in men again, having been dealt with by one man in a negative way. So those conversations to the untrained ear are going to sound anti-men. Yeah, but it's part of the rebalancing process. Yeah, when you have an antidote, some of the poison is in the antidote. So in the medicine, we had to be taught religion in a certain way, or it had to be cleaned up. It was given to us as truth, the truth of the Bible, the truth of the Quran, the truth of the Torah. But truth is not always fact, because something can be truth according to the book or from a certain perspective, but outside of the book, it's not a reality. Do you understand? So in us removing wrong racism that we were victims of, we had to be taught right racism, understand? Which was pride, racial pride again. Right racism is racial pride. Wrong racism is the suppression of another race to further your own race. Yeah, so their tactic that they used is basically, anytime we want to talk about ourselves, they're black supremacists. Yeah, not dealing with facts. Yeah, but if we teach our story, it is all human beings' story. Hence why we are referred to as the all race, because all races come from us. All races come from blackness. All things come from blackness. So therefore, some things must also come from blackness. So there isn't a way you get around us. We are all. There's no outside of all. Yeah, there's only lesser than all. So in order for us to better understand, as I say, who and what we are, we had to go to a place in the past, at least, where we were at our best. Yeah, we were in tune with our ancestors. And this is the point of us going back to the past, for it now to be brought back to today and reimagined for our mindset in this day and time, as I say, so we can take control of our fate once again. So replacing our faith with the word fate, take control of our fate once again. So these symbols are particularly important, and as I say, that's why we're sort of getting back into it. So we were breaking down, as I say, this the tet or tat symbol. Understood. We see that the shapes, at least. So you got here space which is occupied, and then this nabab, yeah, which denotes empty space. So when you bring that together in the symbol of the placenta, which you see here is showing the two combined, you're seeing matter and space in union together. You understand? Now, We showed you last time that same symbol, which represents the synapse. Yes, you see the sperm, interestingly, and this, and the ovum sort of coming together, or in the placenta, the tail of it sitting out. And you see that the energy is moving in both directions. So if we go and zoom in closer, like we did before, you can see that placenta symbol in middle there. So we were working through the detail of that symbol or synapse, and we'd gone to Master Secret number 2, the Hamem Nakat. Yeah, understand the black dot. So the black dot was the smallest particle that we have in existence. You understand? So it's not the atom. You understand? It's pre-atom. Yes, and the fact that that when you have space and matter come together, that talks about absolute space, we were talking to you last time, and absolute matter come together in unison, yeah, it produces this magical effect. So we were going through that in some detail. I think that's where we ended up finishing. So the smallest thing within existence, as I say, is, excuse me, what is classified as dots, you understand? Or energy matter or matter energy. Yeah, so we were seeking to really get you to understand that the delineation between matter and energy is obviously based on the 99 elements, yeah, which hydrogen down to Einsteinium, you understand, or atom down to Amun, as it's referred to in our culture. And so that represents matter, but you have to understand that obviously when they've now discovered quantum particles, then they say, well, they're not, those 99 elements can be broken down to smaller particles. So that's not then really what they are, is it? Because they're not elements then, because an element can't be broken down any further than what it is. You understand? So you see there now, what our understanding of matter then has to change, because there are things smaller than, you know, from a certain perspective, what we thought was existence. So what we're showing here by saying energy matter is that these particles, they matter as well. And so, but they're not physical matter as we would understand it to be from hydrogen, you understand, or the world of light, let's say, for what we could see. There's smaller particles that matter. And so therefore we're referring to that as energy collectively. And so therefore in Wu-Sabat, we say, okay, well, that's energy matter. You understand? Or matter energy. Yes, so that's why it's making that delineation. And then you see it here, dark matter and dark energy. Why is it called dark? Because at this current time, by our physical eyesight, you can't see it. Yeah, but scientists know there's something there. Understood? Yeah, because they've done calculations, and the mass of the universe doesn't add up. When they look at all the stars, all the visible things that they can see, the mass of it doesn't add up to the mass of the universe, its size, so on and so forth. And so they're saying, well, there's this thing that we can't see, so we're calling it dark matter, and we're calling it dark energy, because we know something's there, but we can't see it by our modern day instrumentation. Understood? Yes. So, but where we're coming from, and where the master teacher is coming from, from the Natharu side, is that we're responsible for its creation. So we don't need to go from the end backwards. Do you understand? Yeah. So what they're doing, they're looking at hydrogen, for example, or these 99 elements, and then they're working their way backwards by studying stuff that came before. Understood? You're ontologists. So we are coming from the perspective of the source or the origin of where the thing came from, or we can go in any direction, go from future to back, or from past to forward. It doesn't matter to us. It's all now. Yeah. So in that reservoir of knowledge or information referred to as the mental, which we feed into, the right type of access can access all events and things that have taken place, excuse me, even those that existed pre-time. Yeah, so the master's explaining to us from the very origin of things. And this is why it's important why, you know, when I hear some people sort of say, well, why do we read books? We can just connect in and plug into the universe. I receive my information from just inspiration. Well, you need to read reflection and projection, because many things, excuse me, like how you have maybe McAfee or some other virus on your computer can interfere with those thoughts that you're receiving. You have to understand that. You used to have all the old books in the True Light series, for example, you say, yeah, read with an open mind. But reflection and projection, because of our own internal ancestors, people who we've mixed in with, frequencies in the atmosphere, etc., can interfere with what we receive in the form of inspiration. So inspiration and revelations, according to verse 77, Master Secret Ultimate Reality, says inspiration and revelations are attributes of reasoning and must always be verified against actual facts. So the amazing thing is our doctrine's been put out there in its thousands of books have been written so that you have an opportunity at least, okay, well, let me check and verify against the source that relates to us, because most of the time, let's be honest, you're going to hear something and you go and try and look up on the internet and verify it against the source, which is the white man, basically, using slang. Yeah, you're going to verify against his information, but you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing about pre-6,000 years. In really, in fact, you can speculate. He doesn't understand it the way we do. Understand? He knows that the ancient Egyptians are really the ones who understood. He stole information from ancient Africa. We tried to teach them, but they ended up trying to subvert our generosity and humility to teach them, and sort to try and take over. Yeah, so they ended up stealing information. So the world doesn't understand a lot of what was given and provided because they didn't understand it. So they're the ones who are controlling the information. They make a lot of mistakes, yeah? And so you can see those mistakes in their religious books, etc. And we ain't got time for mistakes, yeah, in that regard. We need proper, factual, outformation coming to us in the form of information about who we are, and then when we sort it out ourselves, then we can think about everybody else in that regard. So smallest things within existence are basically these black dots, and this is what we were explaining to you, and this coming together of, as I say, matter, and space. Yeah, so the vacuum, space, and matter. And so we were explaining to you that when you think about even the sexual process, yes, excuse me, of a man and woman coming together, you think about the rhythm, of the sexual act, the rhythm of it, and so when you get that rhythm right, the state of ecstasy that gets created in the right circumstances, right person, right situation, but the state of ecstasy that gets created. So maybe think of it in that regard, understood, as you bring it down, I suppose, to who you are. Yeah, so you think about that rhythm coming together of space, or the penis as it's placed into the vagina. In the sand, you've got matter and space coming together, the science of the circle and the square, coming together. And when the rhythm is right, yes, then magical things happen in that regard. So this is what this is seeking to explain to us. And you think about how many years, as I say, this book has been out for, but yet we're not taking the time out as Black people, as Musbatu Sabians or whatever, to really master what is being conveyed, which is obviously the purpose of these classes, but they're also, I think we have to make a concerted effort to say, hey, look, I need to understand what's going on here. So, I need to understand it. So if I don't do nothing else, I need to master what's been given. Do you understand? Not keep speculating. Obviously, we have our thoughts and we put them out there, but we also need to have them qualified. Yeah, we also need to qualify those thoughts, qualify that inspiration, understanding, and verify it against what is being conveyed to us, because we didn't just arrive here out of appear like the Mukasu makes us believe 400 years ago. We've got a whole story behind us, so we have knowledge and things that we can verify our understanding against, to see what's really going on. So we were bringing to the fact that about this triple, the ancient called triple darkness, dark energy, dark matter, and the darkness of a black hole, and chaos, sun, and lightning. Understand? So all this, coming out of this, just this simple symbol that's dealing with the placenta, but going before that. So let's continue with going back over verse 62. So any questions, by the way, before I step forward?
Yes, there's a question from Judith. So are you saying, even though you cannot see these particles, they are matter and or energy? So what plane are they assigned?
Excuse me. So they can't be seen by one's physical eyes, but they can be detected. Yeah. So they can be felt. Excuse me. They can be felt. So now, one's physical eyes, they can't be seen. But when a person, for example, is able to use their spiritual senses, then remember, as you were taught previously, when a person is perceiving something spiritually, they don't just use their eyes, they are using their whole body to see. Understood? So it just happens to be at this part of existence, our physical eyes do not pick up brain etheric seeds, as we would call them, or these small particles. You understand? Now, why are we calling it matter? Is just simply material. Yeah. So in order for things to grow, excuse me, you need material. Yeah. You make some things out of things. Yes. You need material in order to do that. So within existence, remember, you see those three bowls, the new bowls, which is the nu symbol, you understand, in the hieroglyphs, is the three things needed for existence are space, matter, and time. They're inseparable. So you cannot have existence without those three things. Understood? It just so happens that as we sort of step down in vibration, yes, what represents existence within us, is the woman. So she has those three stages also, understood, as the three trimesters in the birthing process, which you see, as we explained previously, from that symbol 1000. Understood? So anything that's pre-light, so to speak, is dealing with energy. You understand? Insofar as hydrogen, I'm saying. You understand? In terms of hydrogen, pre-hydrogen, you're dealing with energy. So when it's about physical matter, if that maybe helps your understanding, then that would be where hydrogen starts from. And pre-hydrogen, understood, is where you're dealing with energy, or what some refer to as antimatter. Yes, antimatter. Now, it does get a little bit confusing because of the crossover, which is why we were showing you with the numbers. Remember how we showed you, isn't it? Just write this down. That the numbers from 1 to 10. So let me get my screen up. So when they wrote the numbers, we were showing, remember in that class, we drew it like that, isn't it? So we said 01. I know this might get a little bit confusing, but we said 01, isn't it? 04, all the way down to 9, yeah? And then you go 10. And then you go 10. Yeah, and then you go... And you went 10, didn't you? Yeah, in the numbers. See that? Now, and then all the way down, you understand? Then you get to 19, and you get to 20 again. So the issue is that if let's just show that. So that is really showing you that antimatter. But the issue is that obviously what might get a little bit confusing because that 01 would really be hydrogen on the elemental table, correct? And then you go down to 10, which is neon, on the periodic table. So neon is a form of light. And so all these different stages are really describing a transition from darkness or dark matter, which you can't see. You then step over into the part that we can see. But then these first 9 elements are responsible for birthing a sun. You understand? Yeah. Which is this first part here, isn't it? They call it triple lightness. So they're birthing the sun out of darkness. And then when you get down to 10, you're birthing a new source of light, isn't it? Yeah, this sun, neon. You understand anything about neon signs, neon, as it's used, you understand? It's a form of light. And so it's showing you now, okay, well, this is on the other side of matter, isn't it? Because you go 1, 0, you do it inverse, 1, 0, 1, 1, so on and so forth. Do you understand? So when you say what plane is it on? Well, that's an interesting question because, excuse me, those planes in themselves are intertwined. Yeah, and so within, remember, planes are moods of vibrational energy within a system, and so it really accurately to describe that is a little bit tricky. But you would say it would start, well, okay, well, all this stuff really starts on the plane of force. So as soon as you step outside of the physical plane, then you deal with the plane of force, and then the spiritual plane, where we have these elements E1 to E99. Understood? So plane of force into the spiritual plane is where that would really start from. You understand? But you have to sort of really understand these numbers. That basically anything physical, to keep it nice and simple, anything physical has an etheric counterpart. Understood? And then prior to the etheric counterpart, you have to have, excuse me, things that are then formulated into this design, which you're calling the etheric design or the spiritual design or the blueprint, so to speak. Yeah, so they call it blueprint. Yeah. But the blueprint is the plan, and then we move down those stages, and then the physical basically is built into or shaped into a form that fits into the plan. Understand? So if you imagine you're creating this bowl and then you put something into it then to create the physical bowl. Understood? So it's not based on a design which is not there in its energy form. But what we're going through here is, well, okay, we understand that shape, but all of that comes from the mental. And in that mental process and world of things, we have these black dots in the sand, which is things, but then some things are made out or they come from the world of things. In order for those things to be shaped, these black dots, understood, they have to be transformed into a different state, understood, which is being referred to as a soup. And there are basically things within existence, such as ourselves, as Negroids or Nagaru, that are able to transform these black dots into this soup or liquid form by melting it down, and this then becomes the medium for how thoughts are transferred and how our mind works in terms of brain power. And those thoughts obviously can be shaped into any form. Yeah, there's no restriction. They can be shaped into any form. Understood? So this is the simplest forms of energy that, as I say, can be utilized within existence to create things and then some things. So excuse the sort of heavy answer, but you're simplifying different forms of energy, understood? But then as we, through the process of growth, it appears to become much more complex, understood? But as I say, you're simply talking about energy transforming from one state to another. And then, as I say, one of those states is matter. That is why all matters. It's all important. Yeah. But it just depends who's measuring it. Yeah. That's where the confusion is coming in, because the white man could only measure, or the Bukasu could only measure from hydrogen down until the 60s. But even then, they talk about anything that's pre-hydrogen as theoretical particles. We are not saying they are theoretical. We are saying, no, they exist, because our mindset deals with reasoning. Yeah, so the power of reasoning is a result of thoughts and thinking. In order to reason, you need brain etheric seeds in order to reason. Thoughts don't just appear from nothing. They're also physical things that are made up of particles, and we organize them in a certain way or fashion through this process that we're explaining here, between this interaction between space, yeah, which is space is not empty, and things within that space, you understand? And we bring them into a certain union, understood, in order to produce or create. Yeah. So that was a long-winded answer. If it's not clear, please ask further questions, because it can feel like sometimes it's gobbledygook, but it's not. It's really us finding out who we are. You understand? So the height, those planes that you're talking about, yes, it's good to understand them and relate to things of that nature, because they exist in us as these 9 planes. But you also understand that they are interactive, they cross over, they're intertwined. And this is why they're not levels like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. We have to do that because we're drawing and trying to explain things on a screen. But they're intertwined with each other. That's why to say, well, does it exist on just that plane? Well, yes and no. You understand? Because yes, its origin may be from there, but it also exists here, like it all does. Yeah. So please answer further questions if that's not clear. So, any other questions?
There are no further questions at the moment.
Right. So, so we split that, say, triple darkness and then triple lightness. The issue for us is that the focus has been here, and we have been ignorant. Yeah? So we have ignored the facts of what came before in terms of the darkness. Yeah? Because the darkness was considered, evil to the Mukasu because they couldn't see well in the dark. Understood? Whereas our natural design is for us to see within the dark. Hence why that symbol of the M or mother, it's hieroglyph. One of its hieroglyphs is the Ba'h B'ah Yaanuwn, or the owl, yeah, to be able to see into the darkness. Yes, with our mind's eye. So let's read what it's saying here. So this is what elders. Let's go back one. Yeah. So natural nature is supreme balancement, and all so-called colors came out of it. Just as this one Wahul Makwan universe of all colors came from a black hole. Yeah, it came from a black hole. Now, we explained to you in the last class that black hole that we're talking about, in this context at least, or one of its contexts, is your mother. Yeah, we came out of a black hole, all human beings, male, female, neutral gender beings, etc. We came from a black hole. Now, in our ascension journey, we cannot go back the same way we came because we're too big. We are a universe that has expanded, understood, yes, and grown. So there has to be a different way, yes, which we know is in the Orion star constellation, a different gateway or black hole that we need to now go through because we're too big. But we came by way of that, yeah, called our other or mother. Understood? So 62 so this is what the elders call triple darkness, this combination: dark energy, dark matter, and darkness of black hole. 61, out of which chaos was born, or what is called triple lightness: sun, lightning, and fire. Yeah, and this is why their focus is and their so knowledge with fire, because remember, 16th, 15th century, they used to read books by candlelight. Yeah, so they associated knowledge with fire. You understand? But knowledge is not from fire to us. Knowledge comes from the darkness. Yeah, this is why in their thing it's all about being enlightened. But that is chaos. Yeah, it's talking about the fire. None of this is negative to us, but where the confusion comes in, yeah, because fire, yeah, even light is temporary. It's not permanent. The darkness is permanent. Light is temporary. Yeah, so light cannot be all. Yeah, because light is birthed out of darkness. So as you're stepping back on your ontological journey, because you're seeking to find out the source of where certain things come from, you know, light can't be it. So the word enlightenment, you understand, or ruler, light, yeah, well, okay, that's dealing with a certain, that's dealing with part or certain part of the story. It's not the whole thing. You understand? So existence before creation is what we need to understand. 62, for once light came forth, with it came tashash, chaos. Yet 63, yet dark is permanent and light is temporary. We're just saying that. Yeah, light is temporal. 64, ordinary space and matter are a what? An inseparable unit. However, when space and matter is in what is called perfect union, extraordinary and Kehen, divine things occur. There is no energy existing or can exist other than some form of dark matter and dark energy. Yeah, it's powerful words here. Yeah, no energy. Listen, no energy that's not in this format. Yeah, so this is all isn't it? It's all pre-hydrogen or considered to be pre-hydrogen. Yeah, the creative soup of this universe, creative energy. Yeah, so that causes or is responsible for growth. And when we say creation, we're talking about growth. And remember, in Wu-Sabat, I've said it many times before, not for me, from the Holy Tablets. Yeah, creation, remember, is growth into system or form. That is what creation means in Wu-Sabat. Growth into system or form. Yes? And destruction means change in system or form. Yeah, so you think about, as I say, your house, you created it. If you had a dream house and vivid thoughts about that, you already create the house first in the mental. It then gets broken down, understood, into a plan. Yeah, and then you got to find a way, okay, boom, how do we activate the plan? It's already created in the mental first. By who? By you. Yeah, and they had to be stepped down and broken down into simpler formats to enable it to be communicated to other individuals. Because in your mind, the builder can't see what's in your mind, can they? The bank, if you're trying to get funding, can't see what's in your mind. So you have to put it into different forms to enable it to be communicated to others in order to get what the job that needs to be done. Yeah, because and so you break it down in simple forms, and then you're rebuilding or recreating in the physical that which you already created in the mental. Do you understand? Hence why you see the science of the pyramid, isn't it? where the pyramid was, yeah, it's really a cube in its side. Yeah, let's draw that. Yeah, which will show you, in it, the pyramid. With my drawing. Yeah, this is a cube, isn't it? Yeah. As above, so below. Yes, as above, so below. Yeah, so there's much pyramid below the ground as there is above. It's a cube. One of the corners has been placed in the, yeah, in the ground. Yeah, called it, in the Black Book, it's referred to as anti-construction. Destruction. I didn't say that, I'm finished the word. Yeah, but anti-destruction. So you're creating, understood, yes, that aspect in the mental first, understood, but obviously not physical yet. Yeah, but it's in your mind first, and it has to be broken down. Yeah, because on this, the rules of the physical plane are you must destroy in order to build. Yeah, so you want a wooden house, for example, you've got to destroy trees in order to create a wooden house. So you've got this anti-construction, anti-destruction, understood, versus then, you understand, destruction and then construction once you get on the physical side of things, understood. But in all planes of existence, like the mental plane we just discussed, that you don't need to destroy in order to construct. You did it from what? Transforming, understand, or melting down these brain etheric seeds, understood, and then changing them into a certain form. In order to do that, you need to be able to melt them, as we're going to read about now. You need to melt them down into its kind of liquid form so it then can be manipulated, understood, into what we want it to be. Yes. So no energy existing, yeah, is just not some form of dark matter and dark energy. The creative soup of the universe, creative energy. 66. And of course, energies are active parts and ingredients of physical material existence, also working in the brain etheric seed as the akal, nashat, mind energy that melts down and becomes active creative sparks of electricity within synapses. Yeah, so as they depict it in the diagram here, understand these little brain etheric seeds, yeah, or neurotransmissions, you understand, to allow these thoughts to be communicated, and they create different connections, as we know, isn't it? It could be habits, different things, etc., that we're forming these connections. You understand, when one neuron is connecting with another one. Yeah. So let's get back to here where we were. There. Okay, so we sign up. 67. Active magic energy is the form of mind and reason in thought process. 68. The brain seeds melt down to a brain soup. 69. That being the maya, liquid fluid or water of the thoughts needed to activate electrical changes of the synapses, which activate and is activated by rules of natural nature and suitable conditions in all nature. So we can see then that they create a medium to allow thoughts to transfer. Understand? But you have to have the right conditions in order for the rules of natural nature. Now, as it pertains to us, because one of those rules, for example, is the world of things and rules of existence, which relate to us, which is be being, becoming, became. Understand? So as one of our purposes, understood? Being, becoming, became. Understand? So to exist, we go through various different stages from these simpler life forms, and so they follow these natural rules. So we have rules. The Mukasa or Caucasian have laws. Understand? So rules is what we are seeking to live by, the rules of nature, not the laws necessarily of men. Now he tries to combine those two things together, and they create the rule of law, because they understand where the real power comes from. Understand? So in order to have order, you have to have rules. You understand? And as you, as an individual, excuse me, yes, when we were in our mother's womb, we obviously had to comply with those rules of natural nature in order for growth to work correctly. And as now we're out of the womb and we're here physically, consider ourselves as individuals, yes, the issue is that many of us, which is the nature of human beings, we are too selfish. Let me write that down. Yeah, we are too selfish. This pen is temperamental. We are too selfish. Yeah, we're not selfless. So that word "sell" is in there. So we won't subvert our individuality or suppress it to make the system work. Yeah, because we want to act as individuals within the body or a group, understand, or a universe that's being formed. Yeah, but when a cell works within the system, it's going to do enough or do its job within that system. Does it mean it's not great? Does it mean it doesn't have purpose? Does it mean it doesn't have its own thoughts or ideas? No, but it chooses on its level to do its job as part of the system. It is selfless. Yeah, so it knows what it is, but it's going to do what's necessary to make the system work. Yeah, it's a sun. Yeah, there's 93 million miles away. You think about its importance and how it shows its true definition of divine love. It does its job without you or I or anybody else acknowledging even its existence or giving it credit or giving it respect. It does its job. It's been doing its job for however many, excuse me, millions of years. Yeah, pretty much same thing day in, day out. Yeah, because how many life forms, trillions, are relying on it to do its job. But when we're asked to do something now as part of a group, well, excuse my French, but niggers don't want to work unless it's their own idea. They don't want to work in a system unless they come up with the idea. And if they didn't come up with the idea, then they don't put their full energy behind it to make sure it's successful. They're not selfless. Yeah? And we have a problem within our race, which is part of the spell that was cast upon us, is that we have a difficulty recognizing leadership in our own skin color. But when a white man tells you to do something, automatically you follow without question. When somebody of a dark skin whose freckles are too close tells you to do something, always got to oppose. Let me question it down. Boom, 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 boom. Well, no problem with that, but do it to everybody. Don't just do it to your own. So we have a problem being selfless. Yeah, making the system work for the benefit of all, not just you. Yeah, the system must work for the benefit of all life, not just your life. If you really understand it. And in the word your is the word our. Yeah, so we talk about are you living to make existence work? for everybody, not just for you and your family. That's the difference between love and divine love. Because the only person you really love is yourself. Let's be honest. Yeah? The only person you really love is you. Where you can learn to care for others. Yeah? And becoming selfless. Yeah? Putting others before yourself. Yeah? To make the system work. And so Wu-Sabat, as our spiritual science, is designed to unify us so that we can work for what's best for the race. Yeah, having race loyalty. Now, our race loyalty doesn't mean the denigration or devaluing other races. We're just interested in dealing with self or making ourselves strong, which is for the benefit of everybody, because we are connected to the source of it all. So if we're right, then the environment's going to be right. Yeah, because nobody can vibrate higher than we can vibrate. Nobody can align themselves with the rules of natural nature because they wasn't there. They came from us. So if we're out of our mind, then chaos will reign. If we're in our mind, then order will reign and keep chaos in check. Yeah, because chaos is needed. But 6 ether must be controlled or ignored. But light can never outshine, you can't consume the darkness. But we, as a people, yeah, have been allowing ourselves to be consumed by the light, when we should be the darkness of this world, of this planet, ensuring that order reigns. Understood? And in order to do that, we have to understand who we are and activate it and put it into practice in all planes. Whether it's so, as individuals, we have to transform, because each individual makes the whole better. Each individual is part of the whole. I say all the time, I'm a part of all is, you understand? Part of me. So, but what happens is religion says, well, look at the guy who's leading or the woman who is leading. When we say leadership, yes, you're just talking about the person who happens to be in front. So that's what it's saying. You're just talking about the person who's in front, in the direction of travel. Yeah, and in our system, we're not trying to be led. If somebody's put in a position of responsibility, then it is for the whole to make that person great. It's for the whole to make that person successful in their job. It's not a case of that it's all on the person who's sitting in the seat. This is the problem. And then, okay, well, if they don't lead us right, then boom, then we've got a problem now. We want to put somebody else in the position to lead. No. Everybody's supposed to lead. But you choose at certain points. Everybody can't sit in the seat. There's only one throne at certain points. Everybody can't drive the car. So everybody has to learn to play their position at the time when it needs to be played. So there may be times when you're sitting in the seat. There may be times when you're not sitting in the seat. But your energy for success should still be the same. Yeah, if somebody asked me to go and clean the temple, I'm going to clean the temple the best to my ability. Sweep, hoover, clean, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, irrespective of whether I'm holding a title or a position or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. Whatever role you're asked to play, do it to the best of your ability. The selfish mind says, well, I'm in this position, I shouldn't be doing that. Or why am I doing it? Why I did it today? Why come such and such ain't doing their part? Selflessness. Does the sun ask you for thanks? Does the water ask you for thanks? Is the planet asking you for thanks? So why do you need thanks to do your job? Just do it. Like Nike says, yeah? Just do it. Just do your job. If things arise, then we need mechanisms and systems to resolve conflict without having to go to war with each other. Which is why the systems of masonry, yeah, that system, are important for both male and female. Or those orders that we had. Listen to what they're called, orders. Yeah, because us as individuals can be chaotic. Not saying we are chaotic, but we can be chaotic. Because once all these seeds split into the individual personalities, everybody's got their own ideas. So how do you make that sync together in a system that supports success? Look at that word, success. Yeah, does it mean having £1 million in the bank? Well, I mean, it could do. But success is tying into succession, isn't it? Yeah, growth, supporting existence, continuing the life cycle, so to speak. Yeah, so you find yourself as you're growing, you're going to find, well, by choice, not by force, by choice, that you're going to choose to what? Be a part of the system, because you recognize that greater than yourself, in order for existence to manage, I need to sacrifice. But we're not doing it in a way where we're being forced because we think we're going to some burning hell somewhere. We're doing it because we have recognized, yeah, the importance of selflessness, the importance of service to others. This is how we all become great, by being part of the whole, not as individuals. But do this by choice, not by force. And this is what we have to understand in terms of who we are. Because you're looking in the environment around you, and all you see is service. Air, water, the elements, the planet, the solar system, the moon, the sun, many other suns, the master teacher, serving, writing books for us all. And then we don't take the time to really read it. We don't take the time to take it from knowledge to wisdom, which is the application of the knowledge, and really master it. And what? Transform ourselves with the information. Yeah, if you're lucky enough to get a cooked meal, you know, if you get called down for that food and you take time to go down and pick up that food, people go ballistic. Yeah, because you seem to be taking the proverbial, so to speak. I've cooked this food, you're not eating it. The whole point of preparing the meal is so that the person consumes it and says, boom, okay, yeah, the meal was lovely, whatever the case may be, they've received sustenance. That fulfills the cycle, you understand? Closes a circle. If I cook the food and you don't consume it, then the circle's not complete. So how can our ancestors be putting out this knowledge, and then we're there in a prayer system complaining, saying, oh, help us, look at the conditions that we find ourselves in. But certain things have been placed in our reach, understood, by many sacrifices, by many different entities who have worked selflessly. And we, at the end point, don't even want to read it and master it, and better yet, work with each other to put it into practice. So, you know, as part of this life, yeah, all the different challenges people have got, all the different distractions that are pulling people in various different directions, you need to stay focused on what you're really here for. Because only certain aspects of it are dealing with reality of who we are. Everything else is simply distractions. And the higher you get, the less choice you have by your own choice. Yeah, if you say, okay, well, we're gonna teach whatever. We need to teach sisters about this Lotus of life, for example, and we're gonna do it every Sunday without fail. Well, every Sunday now you're locked in. Yes, you can't just do what you want. Every Sunday you're going to be locked in now to service others. Just like the sun locks itself in a system to do what it needs to do within its various cycles. Can it go off and decide, hey, let me go and visit Alpha Tauri, or let me go and visit my cousins in Orion? You can't do that. Because how many life forms would be destroyed if it moved just 1 degree out of its current position? Yeah, we got so much personal needs. Yeah, so maybe part of achieving that perfection is to analyze what those needs are, understood, and really be 100% at the service of others. Maybe that's what perfection is for us, if we really analyze it. Yeah, so the problem is, and you read it in those extraterrestrial books when it gives a breakdown of all the different races and it gives a breakdown of the human race, that's egotistical and selfish. Yeah, so we have to learn to manage our own nature, and part of this is by reforming ourselves, yeah, by being informed, understand, by this outformation. Now, so active magic energy is a form of mind and reason in thought process. 68. Brain seeds melt down to brain soup. Excuse me. That being the liquid, maye fluid, or water of the thought needed to activate the electrical changes of the synapses, which activate and is activated by the rules of nature and the suitable conditions in all nature. 70. For such meltdowns of the warming up of the brain soup, of course, activates all thinking and sabab reasoning unless you have unnatural brain seeds. 71. An unnatural brain seed is a result of defective genetics from the disease of Baras, leprosy, or other venereal diseases caused by unnatural sexual contact between human and beasts, or Muthyad Mutatalu, extraterrestrials from other worlds. This is 72. This is what is wrong with the Partakiod or Mukasu Salau, the Caucasoid race. 73. Their brain soup is affected and does not heat up to the perfect temperature needed to activate Kahen Akal, divine mind. '74. Only human beings have that Kahen Sacham, divine power. 75. No other animals or beasts have in their genome, like the Nagaru, Negroids, having 24,000 gene sequences. Just wrap this up off the screen. Gene sequences put in by Nathars Nitiru. 76. Genes maintain all the genetic data of a single cell present in the cell by the DNA of the nucleus and the DNA of the mitochondrial organelle. 77. As you know, 223 of these genes do not have any predecessors on a genomic evolutionary scale, that which is missing in all other vertebrates. 78. 223 uncovered genes from extraterrestrials. 79. Each cell's nucleus contains 23 pairs of chromosomes, which are made up of a single molecule of DNA and proteins of amino acids called histones, which are used to keep DNA tightly packed for proper cell division. So we can see here, basically, that the DNA strands, which basically are these codes, which would be miles and miles in length, yeah, if they were unraveled, have to basically be wrapped around what is called histones in order for them to be able to fit into the nucleus, yeah, of the cell. Yeah, so we wrap them around these codes. So the DNA obviously are the codes, and then which is the double helix. But one half of that helix, remember, is then released from the cells, and then you have these things within the within the liquid called ribosomes. And ribosomes take basically 3 letters of the code, and they basically are protein builders. Understood? And so they use these amino acids to build various different types of life forms, organs, different things, cells, etc. Using or reading, as I say, the RNA code, which is there from the DNA. But I say it's tightly packed. In order for it to fit, they have to wrap it around these, say, histones, which help to formulate those chromosomal shapes. Understood? Now, what it's obviously explaining is that out of these 24,000, you got 223 of these genes. They don't have a predecessor, meaning to say that all life forms are linked on the planet. Yeah. So I think we said this before, but a chicken is the midway point between, excuse me, when serpents, or reptiles obviously came out of the waters, understood, and where their scales then transformed into feathers. Yes, because a chicken is a flightless bird. You see, obviously, look at the legs of a chicken. It's reptilian in nature. It's got scales, understood. But then its upper body is that of a bird with feathers, but it can't fly. You understand? So it's the midway point between before reptiles became birds. So if you track to life forms growth, they use the word evolutionary, but history, you understand, or story, you understand, and all the changes that has happened based on a number of different factors, design, but also environment, so on and so forth. Yes, they would lead back to a life, an origin of life that's here on the planet Earth. But 223 of these genes do not have that precursor, and therefore are extraterrestrial in origin. This is what is being explained. So they can't find, they've mapped the genome now. They can't find, hey, where's these 223 come from? Because they are out of Earth, extra-terra astral. So the chromosomes 80, the chromosome ensures that DNA is copied and distributed accurately during cell division. Understood? So remember we talked about last week that in the rules of things, you understand, all things and a thing are the same. So that rule being copied across, we can see that, hey, all and part is the same. So in one of your cells contains obviously all of you, you understand, as well as, you understand, you have the whole of you, you understand, as the whole. So part of you as part is also the whole of you. You understand? For different reasons. Yeah, we make ourselves smaller, for example, in the birthing process. Yes? So part and whole, this is part of those rules, that we talked about earlier, or the rules of things in being active. Understood? In terms of this natural design that we see going forward. So 81, the genes as active parts of the DNA molecule contain the genetic code for reproduction that every cell needs to function correctly. 82, all of this has been affected in the cursed seed of Canaanites or more Adamites. 83, their machachat brains do not function by the rules of nature, natural nature, as they are defected. 84, only Pa Nagado Salau, the Negroid race, has the power to affect all of nature as you are doing in these days by way of your Kahen Akal divine mind. 85, although unseen, this is relating to the a question earlier. 85, although unseen or felt by you, Nwapu Nwapians, you have that power. So whether you acknowledge it or whether you don't, is part of who you are. 86. This is your Khamem Makas, black magic, and it is divine. 87. In your case, it melts down to become visible in the Kana'a, essence of natural nature's highest qualities. 88. Nuapu Nuapians, you must know your powers as Nagaru, Negroids. 89. You are unique. The Nawep Mukwan, supreme being on this planet and earth, is in tune with you. 90. Your genome, 24,000 in number, is linked to the planet Earth's circumference of 24,000 miles and is a cycle of time of 24,000 years to the hours of its day, 24 hours. 91. You are the Muntharu, children of Parnatharu deities, incarnated. 92. Wake up from the Rakei Shalal, Nawam sleep, spell of sleep. Wake up from the mummy state. 93. It is your time to rule for your DNA. Reveal it to the world. 94. Nagaru Negro, you do not need Za'am, religious opinion of others than your own Salau race to be great. 95. You are great by your natural nature, not with others' religions of Abraham, Ibrahim, Ubru'um, now called Mosism, Judaism, Jesusism, Christianity, Mohammedanism, Al-Islam, or any other of their sub-branches. 96. Excuse me. You do not need to accept their dress, their language, or opinions of divine. 97. Or you will lose your divine right as Patahites, gods in flesh. 98. Look at how Elijah Muhammad was made great as a Muslim. Yahweh ben Yahweh was made great as a Jew. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was made great as a Christian. But it had nothing to do with their religious choice. 100. But they had great in their African genes as Nagaru Negroid. 101. So you have no need to pray to their unseen, unconfirmed, unproven Gadadu, deities, gods, Yahweh, Allah, or other names. 102. You have no need to visit their holy places outside of your natural home. 103. You have no need of their deities' holy books. 104. Stop believing the Nawar light is your God. Let me say it again. 104. Stop believing the Nawar light is your God. 105. Stop calling the darkness Daweh, evil. 106. Before light, dark matter already existed as what? The best minds agree. 107. All started with a Pa Khamem Nakat, the black dot, dark matter, dark energy. 108. The mother of all living out of her dark womb or black hole. So, when all is said and done, yes, what does it come back to? Yeah, the mother of all living out of what? Her dark womb or black hole. So, all this is expressing to you is that all of this time when we were looking for the divine, yeah, the reality was we need to look in the mirror. There was no distance, really, you understand, only in our minds between us and our ancestors. They've always been here. They've always been around. Our ignorance made it so we never, ever tapped in to our true divinity. We never tapped in, yeah, to our true help. Yeah, when, as I say, the helping hand we were looking for was at the end of our own arm. The deity that we were looking for was in our very genetics, in our genes. And that's a part of that spell was to look outside. When we talk about spell of religion, the spell of Kingu, to look outside of self. Not knowing, yes, that we were a part. We say it all the time, isn't it, in Parnasha? Well, I'm a part of all. And all is a part of. Yeah, so it's always, all the answers always been in us, but you needed a master to come in and unlock it now. There's still to unlock it. But these basic principles, we need to start to at least go from an under into an overstanding. You see here, as much as how old this particular master's secrets are, it's cited called the beginning. Which is why we have to keep saying to people, hey, we haven't got time for vain thinking and vain thoughts. We need to be informed. We need to get to a place of understanding of what is being taught to us, and then be able to teach it in a way where we're not adding our own cayenne, you understand, spice to it, to make it feel egotistically like it came from ourselves. Yeah, no, if we are part of it, we'll teach it how it's been given. You understand? To help others get to that same understanding, then we can be of the same mind. Yeah, not creating, as the Mukasu did, things to make themselves unique. As a whole, you're already programmed with uniqueness. So why are you trying to be unique? Why are you trying to stand out from the crowd? Just master you so that you can contribute to the whole. Yeah, and it will come naturally. It doesn't need to be forced. Yeah, better, you understand? Is it better for me, one, to have the Ferrari, or is it have more impact if everybody of my crew has them? If that's what we choose to want to do. That's how we move. Everybody got the same car, same dress, same everything. Which has more impact. They teach for one person to have it and everybody else not to have it. Well, there's enough energy within the natural system, yeah, inexhaustible, that's what we covered, yes, in Partakiod, the all, inexhaustible amount of energy. There's enough for everybody. You don't need to separate between each other or argue there's not enough of this or enough of that. That's how it is on this particular plane. So we have to work with each other because that's where our power is. We're untouchable. Yeah. If we're not in need. And we're not in need, we're untouchable. We can't be touched. Yeah, but as soon as we get ourselves in need, then hey, somebody can come other than self to fulfill that need. Either in kind or in mind. Yeah. Any questions?
Yes, there's a question here from Dermot, and it says, Rahuba Zamalu, hope you are all well and good. An off-topic question, so hopefully this is okay. The master teacher has advised us that it is a good thing to learn an instrument so we can understand tones, etc., like learning the acoustic guitar or piano, etc. But he said to stay away from the violin. If you recall him saying this, can you break it down, please, why he said that? Tawatak.
That's something I'm going to have to look up because I don't remember the last part. But I will check it out and have an answer for you the next time. Yeah, because I don't recall, so I don't want to mislead. Yeah, so thanks for the question. I appreciate that, and I'll look up and find out what the answer is.
Okay, we have a question from Judith. So when dealing with the body, is it the spirit that sees by way of our solar plexus, or itself the spirit?
Say that again. I'm slightly confused. Go ahead.
The question says, so when dealing with the body, is it the spirit that sees by way of our solar plexus or itself? And then it says the spirit, question mark.
No, so what was explaining was that I think somebody asked a question, I think it was you, but I asked about planes of existence, understood? Well, on those different planes of existence, these senses operate differently. So on the physical plane, remember, we see the image that we're looking at, or the image that we create, is a projection. Yes, it's a free dimensional holographic projection by our mind, understood, projecting outwardly, understood, through what we are calling our eyes. So we are not actually looking forward, we're looking backwards, meaning to say that if I was to point an arrow, so we think we're seeing outwardly, but the picture gets created inside of the person's head. So what happens is that you generate an electromagnetic beam, understood, and you project it outside of from the brain out by way of your eyes externally, understood, and that reflects light, particles back into your eyes, and they get picked up by your retina, understood. That has a direct link to the brain, so you interpret those colors and you generate a three-dimensional image in your head, understood, which you then project outside and say, well, I'm looking at that, but you're not really looking, you are projecting outwardly. So on the physical plane, that is how your eyes work. And there's a book called Reflection and Projection, even a class we did called Reflection and Projection, where we go to that in more detail. Yeah, so how holograms are created is the same way we see, understood? And so we generate that image. This is how you can have optical illusions. So if what we're looking at is really what it is, how can we be tricked? The reason why a person can be tricked or an optical illusion can be created is because the image is being generated in the mind. Remember, it just works so fast, you just don't notice all these changes because it's working at speed, which is, as I say, beyond light speed, obviously, which is mental speed. So, or thought speed, better to describe that. Yeah, 24 million moments, 24 million moments in the sun per mile, as opposed to 24 million seconds per mile, which it is for the Caucasian. So that's how we see physically, understood? But what was being expressed is that on the spiritual plane, yes, you're seeing with your whole being. You're not seeing through your eyes, generated image. Hence, you'll be able to pick up more different types of finite forms of energy. Because remember, with your eyes, you're locked in to picking up a part of the electromagnetic spectrum, isn't it? 400 to 700 nanometers. Hence why you have what? Ultraviolet, beyond violet, you can't see, but you have infrared, excuse me, underneath red, slowest particle moving, and you can't see that either. So you're only looking at a small part of the electromagnetic spectrum. So, but other life forms, it's wider, isn't it? And they say in the Man from Planet Risk, it says, well, human beings can hear up to the cosmic range. Doesn't mean they can see, but they can pick up greater than what their eyes can see. So it's not just through eye perception that you're picking up information or waves within the environment. There are other ways to pick up that information, but on the physical, you're seeing with your physical eyes. Understand? And so you're limited to what you can pick up, if that makes sense. So you can't, as the point was being made, you can't see brain etheric seeds, understood? But on other aspects of self, we can perceive them. So we can't see them on this plane, but we can see them. But as you step up through these different planes and your other aspects of you come to the fore, understood, then your senses work differently. And in fact, you have to be trained. Part of your, when you transition and let's say transition and you're now in the spiritual plane, as they would call it as, you have to be taught how to use your senses in that plane. So the point which is being made is that in that context, you use your whole of your light body to see. You're not just seeing with your eyes. Understand? Yeah. So if your question is relating to do we see through our abdominal or solar plexus, then the answer is no. Understand? However, you do have an abdominal brain. Excuse me. You do have an abdominal brain. I'm not aware of us being able to generate images from that brain, but obviously we do think from that area or reason from that area also, which I think we do touch upon, I think in the next segment here, dealing with the deity Amun-Re. Any other questions? Or if that's not clear, then please re-ask or ask it in a different way.
Yes, there's another question from Judith. In the scroll, The Wisdom of Tahuti, chapter 6, It is stated that becoming is a weakness of will. How so, please?
Right. She's got a page number, so I can just look at what she's reading before I answer. One second.
Judith, do you have a page number?
Sorry, I just took my head over. What page was that? Chapter 6. What page was that? Sorry, right.
I'm just trying to get that information now.
Okay, well, let's just find that the page number. What? Any other questions?
There are no other questions. That's the last question there so far.
Okay, as soon as that question, the page number comes up, if you just shout me so we can read it for the benefit of everybody. Okay, cool. That's when that comes up. So the point I wanted to focus on here was the mother of all living. You understand? So at the end here, because it is tying into this other and the importance of why, as I say, that perfect number 1000, yeah, and how that M represents that. So we're going to jump into the Lotus of Life and do a bit more reading here just to make this plain. Yeah, so the interesting title, yeah, Gospel of Yaanuwn on the Sacred Femi-nine, the actual facts number 23, Lotus of Life. And start from page 94, just at the bottom. It says 661. This is my as Ba'h B'ah Yaanuwn's gospel on the Femi-nine to warn and save our Salal race from the destruction as the race of the fallen and the children of the fallen angelic beings self-destruct because of their racism, hate, jealousy of other seeds on the Mikwah Taha planet Earth. Yeah, self-explanatory. 662. These are their final days and times, and they only seek to take all down with them. 663. This will not come to pass. It will not happen as they, Rassam, plan. 664. We plan the best Rassam plan, and what I teach you is from the mother of all records, Sajula, recorded and protected in the highest, in Ma'al Yan, the highest place. Yeah, reference Quran 83, 18 to 21, Ezekiel 41, 7, Hebrew Strong's number 5945 for those that need those references. 665. It is in their own genome. Their diseased chromosomes are failing them right now, and they know it and seek to become biorobotic beings. Yeah, so they want to enhance or eliminate their defects by using artificial means. Yeah, which is a bit of what that mark of the beast is about in one understanding of it. 666. That will fail them. Also, when your Wakut time comes, nothing can change it, and their time has come to go as the last Sanafu species of humanoids. Yeah, so remember, their ancestors programmed in their telomerase, yeah, an expiry of their genetics of 6,000 years. This is where this 6,000 years comes from. Yeah, so by 2060, there will be no more of this particular hybrid left on the planet Earth. And so the only way for them to survive is to mix in, obviously, with those with stronger genes. 667. This is a sacred doctrine of the Femi-nine. Know yourselves. 668. The Femi-nine, the breath, begins with her outward from the waters of her Raham womb. 669. To understand breathing, you only have to follow my instructions on this. 670. Think of these 4 attributes of your Ogdoads for the masculine to exhale and inhale life. 6.7. He starts with the inhale, Amun. Then he must exhale, Kak. Then once again, he inhales, Ha. Then completes the breath of life with Nun. 672. Amun is inward, Kak is outward. Ha is inward and Nun is outward. The breath of life for the living. Yeah. Now, so we've got these two states which are understanding. And if you see, obviously, when you're looking at the Ogdoads in particular, you understand, you're seeing that represented, isn't it, by male and female aspects. Yes, we've got this, what may be described as a pulsing taking place in it, inward and outward movements, you understand, represented, as I say, also by push and pull. There's other ways to describe it, you understand. Now, these three bowls, which you all should be familiar with by now. Yeah, 673. The three bowls are for the personifying of the primeval water, out of whom emerged the being Ptah or Patur, opening the way of existence. 1, Bara, space. 2, Madad, material. And 3, Makut, time. Yeah, so those three principles of existence. You also understand now, in terms of that primeval water, that the melting down of those brain etheric seeds creates, isn't it? Yeah, that brain soup or fluid or liquid or water, understand? Yeah, as primeval water from what things are shaped from, understood? Yes, so we're understanding these stages before that are taking place in the darkness, before we step into what is described as the physical. But that physical is also a form of physical, meaning things, as we might call it pre-physical. Yeah. So remember, the rules of out space and in space are exactly the same, vice versa. So 674. Now, Nuwapians or Sabians, breathe from Amun. Yeah, tying into the sister's question about the solar plexus. Yeah, breathe from Amun, the primeval Nathar, who is hidden in each of you. 675. By the Rayat Emraye, yeah, the sons of sun. Yeah, that would translate as to become Amun-Raye or Amun-Raye or Amun-Raye. So the Amun is the position, understood, and then the sun would represent the actual burning fireball. When you combine them together, it becomes Amun-Raye. Yeah, so dealing with what? Our solar plexus. Yeah, because we breathe, yes, in, and then what? Yeah, we breathe out. Yeah, so understand? Who, he. Yeah, who, he. Which they turn that into the term Yahweh, if you really understand, in reverse. Yeah, who, he, and Yahweh is the same. Yeah, because, or what they stole, I should say, to create their Yahweh, tying back into the breath. So if we just make that clearer. Yeah, if you look at that, who this pen. Right, so if we look, yes, Hua and Hia, male and female. Yeah, so when you breathe, you can hear that sound, isn't it? Internal, external. Yeah, you can hear the sound of the who, he. Now, yeah, when we write Yah, Let me write Yahweh. Now, look. Yeah, you read it with dyslexia. What do we see? Well, we see the ha sound, or H as they call it in English. The W is a U sound, correct? Yes? U, W, U sound. Another H, and then I at the end, Y at the end of the word gives an I sound, doesn't it? Yeah, like in the word every. Gives an I sound. So this is, Yahweh is what? Who, he. Yes? The hand of God. Yeah, Yahweh. Yeah, they do it with a little pen, with a stick, how they read the Torah, because they don't want to touch it with their hands. They consider it to be holy, understood. But that is with the, taken from the quill of Thahuti, understood. Yeah, but Ta is the opening, understand? That goes with who, he, because the plan within the mind of the all that we are in is referred to as who. So this plan of existence that we are living in right now, understood, within existence, is called who, or referenced as who, or who, he in full, understood. Hence why we call ourselves, well, human beings, understand. It's also to do with hue, like the color of our skin, H-U-E, but it also references back to this, to the breath, understood, which ties in to one of our souls, the Rawu soul, which is the breath of life, as we see here represented by Amun. Yeah, so Amun Raya, or people call themselves Amun Raya, thinking there's some messiah or deity that we need to follow because they've received some kind of inspiration. You now see in the very book Lotus of Life, understood, which is that it represents the breath of your solar plexus. And in fact, to break it down even further, one of the depictions of Amun Reye is a pregnant female. Yeah, so a sun, or a hidden sun within the environment. Yeah, so your solar plexus is hidden from the view, but we know it's there. Yeah, because when you breathe on your hand, you feel heat because there's a burning happening inside. Correct? And then that pregnant woman, remember that symbol of the tat symbol with the child inside of her is also a what? A burning sun. So if a man's calling himself Amun Reye, does he really understand what he's talking about? Yes, because we explained to you at the start of this class about the Ma star. Any other questions? Or have we found that page? Right, and Babi there. You need to unmute yourself if you're still on mute.
Yeah, it works better when you're muted, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying.
What page number? Have we got the page number for that question?
I currently do not have a page number. I've been waiting for it. Judith, if you have a page number, let's just see. Let me just scroll down in the chat as well, just in case it's... Oh, it says here...
Chapter 6, but tell me the page number.
No, I don't actually have an actual page number as yet. There's somebody saying in the chat that maybe she's reading a slightly different. It says my page starts page 95, verse 714. This is somebody's just put that in the chat. But whether it's Judith has just notified us that it's not possible. She's at work at the moment.
Oh, okay, no problem. What it is, yeah, obviously just help me out, because if I might give an interpretation of an answer if I'm not seeing the context of how that's been written. So I will just do it for the next time, maybe, because I think I know what it means. I need to see how it's been written in the context, just to help me out. In a sense.
Okay.
I do know some things I have to reference. Any other questions?
No other questions.
Apologies for that, Judith. We'll get to it next time. Yep. Next question.
No other questions.
Okay. Right. Okay. So, where are we at now? So I'm seeing some feedback there. Let me put it up there. Is that better for you to see that? So, and this is the point that we want to say here. So it says 676, and Nun and Nuntat are one being manifested as masculine and feminine. So remember, we go in the deities. We go, isn't it? We go Atum, yeah. We go Atum. We go Nun Nunet. Hehihet, or that's the old way of saying it, Hehihet or Hihat, Kakikat, and Amun and Amunet. Yeah, so basically, when we look in the prayer system, and if we've got time, we'll try and post it in the chat for those who don't have it, you understand? So you can look at the different prayers or the 99 deities, understood? Yeah, in terms of the Ogdoads. Yeah, or the first set of our overseers. So it starts with the 8. Yeah, so we go Atum Raye, yeah, Nun Nun Tat, is this proper term, Hat, Kak Tat, and Amun Tat. Yeah, we get down to 9, and then we go to the Enneads. Understood? So this is what that is referencing, or what one would have to follow through in terms of just aligning there what we're discussing. Yeah. So basically, on Earth, we were in the waters first, understood? Yes, and then we came out as the Sajet, you understand, or the Sacred Nine, you understand? Some call them Enneads, understood? Muf Khamia is the term in Sabaic. Yeah. So the 9, so we came out onto land as a 9 ether being, you understand, in terms of our physical body. But prior to that, these Ogdoads, understood, you know, serpent-headed deities, understood, yeah, known as the Muftaru, you understand, they were now in the waters. So when we look at our at the birth process by way of its design, you see those stages in there, isn't it? Yeah, because we spend that time in the womb. Now, some people say, well, you said trimester. Well, remember, we explained before that we have inception before we have conception. So whenever we have even a triad principle, there's always a 4th point. You understand? So in actuality, we do have those 4 stages in there, which you see we're in that sort of dark state. And then obviously we become, we go through 9 months, excuse me, 9 months, and then we're born, understood? And so, again, the 8 and the 9 have some interaction there in terms of that side of things. Also, yeah, one being overlaid on top of the other one, you understand? So, yes, they can be sequenced, but it's better to see it as overlaid because they're growing cycles, much like how we see we start off as the sperm and the ovum as that central point, isn't it? That hasn't gone anywhere. It's not like if we have just expanded outwards, you understand, with different layers, yeah, from that original sperm and ovum coming together, obviously as male and female aspects, understood, yeah? So Nun and Nun Tat. So that's the first point, yes, after Atum Raye, in the cycle. Excuse me. And it's saying here, the breath is from Amun. Now, 677. So the ninth being incarnated into flesh and blood, being Ta, born out of Nun and Nuntat. Understood? Yeah. So we now get a better understanding of what that is. Yeah, from 676. Yeah, coming through in those early stages. You understand? So we started off, as I say, inception, conception. You understand? Going through 3 different stages in triple darkness of conception to birth, and then we're born out into the flesh to be visible again as Pata. Understood? Yeah, opener. So at the appointed time, isn't it? Yeah, that the black hole was opened up to allow us, as I say, to come through headfirst out of our mother's womb, yeah, to be born into this world where Amun-Re now was properly activated, because prior to that we were breathing through our gills. You understand? Now we take our first breath. We remember the sound of the Big Bang. Yeah, when the sperm hit the ovum in the A major range, and we now have to, yes, breathe in through our mouth and out through our nose. Understood? Yeah. By way of, as I say, it's now newly activated solar plexus, the Rawu aspect of our soul. Now let me rub this off the screen. So, okay, so next, what else is it saying now? So, introduce now, which is important for all Sacred Femi-nine, about this science of the 2 mouths. So 678, and know this, Sabians or Nuapians, the Femi-nine has 2 mouths. The perpendicular mouth, or her Raham womb, called vagina. And it has both the Raham womb and mouth containing the chromosomes and the DNA. The genome of ontology, or what they call genome ontogeny DNA, God ontogeny. 679, excuse me. Ontogeny is the life cycle of an organism from its origin from the fertilized oocyte or egg to the organism's mature state or form that can encompass the complete lifespan. Yes? So now when you understand that when we say we are ontologists, yes, you understand now what that is saying. We're looking to go back to the origin of where a thing came from. So in ourselves as ontologists, we're interested in the source of, or the cause and effect in our dealing with our life cycle or lifespan. Understand? So we're interested in the very origin of things. And this is how we should apply, in the context of our behavior through life, yeah, which cuts out rumors and gossip and things of that nature. Because if, you understand, somebody comes to me with a rumor, I am not going to share that onto the network of Musbatu, because we're all interconnected. So I'm not going to put that onto the network unless I've verified that as fact. Yeah, if you come to me with what somebody said about somebody being hearsay or an accusation of a person made and the person not verify it, why would I carry that across the network? I'm going to check it at source. Yeah, well, have you, the person, proven what you're saying to me is factual? Is it correct? If not, okay, I'm not interested. But we don't do that. We plug that into the network and we share gossip and rumor and so on and so forth and give it power and give it life, when it could have just been, from its origin, it could be absolute nonsense. You understand? You wouldn't take a pen drive or a flash drive, would you? Yeah, when you work for the Mukasa or even your own business, yeah, and all of the computers are on a certain network, you don't take a foreign pen drive and plug it into your computer unless you know what it is, because you risk the danger of putting a virus onto the network. In fact, most systems, if they're network systems by most employers, you plug something in, it's not going to allow you to read what's on the network in the first place. And that's how you got to kind of treat how you are as an individual if we're unified as a people. You are the gatekeep person into the network. Yeah? And if we really were at the extent of our full powers, remember, you are given access to 7, 8, and 9 ether, which is only agreeable energy, only agreeable forces. So those lower forces can only get into that aspect of the network by way of you. Hence why you see in the Holy Tablets in chapter 1, it talks about us being quarantined or locked off, as a people, until we have eradicated the muadamu, the negative aspects out of our genealogy, by way of obviously us using Wu-Sabat to correct our behaviors and our Partakiod, etc., and living our culture. And then obviously, yes, it's difficult because we're not in the right environments. We have to do the best that we can do, and one of them is not feeding the forces. So this just even on a life understanding level, but it also, we have to understand, it also applies to how we behave, because now we're showing there is not that much of a difference between energy and matter. So we must control how we think as well as how we act. 6, 7, 9. So let's go 6, 7, 8. And what makes knowledge of this so important is whatever enters the sacred gardens of delight is immediately analyzed and distributed into your Daman blood as a sacred feminine. As an internal creature, it becomes part of you. So we understand now, yes, that the science of the two mouths. I was talking about this when we were going through in part 1 or 2 of this class, the lotus of life, because we're talking about lotus flowers. So what you put in your mouth, becomes part of you. And you think about children, because they don't have the knowledge and experience. One of the reasons why, as parents, we have to keep an eye on them when they're young is because they put things in their mouth, don't they? Correct? And what they're doing is they're using their tongue and the tools in it to analyze what the thing is. So because they don't know about, you understand? Well, that's got germs on it, etc. They don't have experience of the dangers. So they're using the tools which they know of at their disposal, because their eyes don't operate at that particular young age. So they put things in their mouth to analyze, correct? But when you put in your mouth, i.e. when your tongue reads it, becomes part of your being. That's why they say you are what you eat, correct? But they didn't teach you about the second mouth, which is the other opening, called the vagina. And so what goes in there becomes part of your being also. You understand? As men, I think there's some products out at the moment. They're talking about spraying your balls with deodorant and all this kind of stuff, which you learn about male hygiene or deity style hygiene through books, some released many years ago. But obviously, if we spray stuff on our balls, that has the ability to enter into our system and become part of our own. Do you understand? Balls in that regard, I can't remember the proper term. Do you understand? But it becomes part of that because there's a very thin layer of skin at that point, because the our balls have to be kept at a certain temperature. Understood? Which is why you were advised not to wear jeans and things of that nature. It's more loose clothing in and around that area as men, because, as I say, it can affect your sperm. Understood? So in the context of a woman, that's an opening, isn't it? Yes, where stuff that goes inside of it becomes part of your being. Understand? And so it's an access point into your network. Yes, which is why you have a culture that may build things around it to maintain all of us in our optimum state. Now, 681, whatever you put in or allow to enter your raham womb or mouth, a message is immediately sent to the mag, brain, to the subconscious to see what it is and the effect it can and will have on your inner and outer being. 682, Femi-nine, you must know that just as when you put something inside your mouth, you have DNA in there and senses to detect and dissect what it is. 683, as your lisan tongue has taste centers for sweet, bitter, and sour, and also nerves for hot, cold, soft, and hard. 684, so also your raham womb has the same. 685, nothing should be entered into your womb that is unnatural, such as rubber or plastic, except in surgery or internal cleaning and investigating, yet never left in your raham womb, or it will compute as acceptable and it becomes part of your reproduction system. 686, no, before you allow inside your raham womb, as you should your famam mouth. 687, knowing that whatever or whomever will mix in with your own DNA and becomes part of your being and can kill your pure feminine, as with the masculine will attack your heroine, her Ein, the divine feminine hero in life. 688, each male you allow to enter your raham womb departs, yet leaves behind part of his DNA to become part of your own. 689, each male you allow to enter your mouth, be it tongue, kiss, or genetic kiss, or oral sexual pleasure, even before he ejaculates, once he exits, yet leaves behind part of his DNA to become part of your own. 690, soon as you taste his flesh or swallow his semen, in both cases, he becomes part of you. So, as we talked about, the science of sex is to achieve the maximum pleasure with the least adverse results. So the reason why a woman may choose not to have multiple partners, and we have a culture that would support that, is because the rules of natural nature as it pertains to who she is and her nature has an adverse effect, you understand, on killing her divine. Because remember, the masculine liquids are not part of the woman's own DNA. Yeah, so it's a foreign body that then has to be managed. Do you understand? And so too much man, yes, yeah, can create a man sister. Yeah, where men are running, you understand, or male thoughts are running the woman and not the woman running herself. Yeah, so being that sacred feminine, being the representative, you understand, for existence where all things grow, yeah, yes, comes with positives, but it also comes with other attributes, meaning to say that it will support the growth of anything that's placed within the environment. Yeah, as I say, the rules are there to work in a self-autonomous way. Yeah, if I place a thought in my mind, yeah, as the master said, the mind's like a field. Wherever you plant in it, it will grow. So if you start watching, you're watching murder 24/7, then guess what will grow? Murderous thoughts. Yeah, murderous intentions. Yeah, because that's how the rules are stated. It doesn't scream at that level. It reacts. You, as a supreme being, are supposed to be the screener. Yeah, if it was anything else, then we would be animals. We wouldn't have our own thoughts and thinking. We are supreme beings that have control over decisions of how the universe runs, but we cannot escape the rules of nature. Hence why we have to understand them and apply them accordingly, for the least adverse results, but maximum benefits. Understood? So, second mouth, rules are no different. It becomes part of your being and who you are. Now, 691. The more or different men you allow to deposit his DNA into your being does and will affect your natural nature. 692. Just as once the masculine ejaculates into your womb, your natural feminine will fight to kill off his sperm to only allow one to hang on to the ovum for reproduction. 693. So also masculine liquids of any kind that enters your body has an effect on you. Your body fights it. 694. Just as you naturally don't like when a masculine sweats on you, this is all from inside your being. Study how your body reacts to masculine sperm. 695. Feminine. Knowing these things are a must. Feminine. Knowing these things are a must, so you know what you have allowed to affect your thinking. 696. Much of your inner anger against males are those you allowed in over time. So males reject other males. You express it as men get on my nerves. 697. This is your inner mind saying the right thing. Masculine are now in my nerve centers. 698. Men get on my nerves. 699. It's the men you allow to become part of your khatat body over shamutat years by sexual contact. If you have over 4 and you are ruled by anger through, if you have over 4 and you're ruled by anger through men, internal wars. 700. You call it love until it changed to hate or dislike. You say, I don't know what I ever saw in him anyway. 701. You allowed his DNA to invade your ancestral line, masculine, and rule your 9, feminine. 702. Feminine, protect your Sayem Khatat, divine body, inside out and outside in. 703. Feminine, remember, you are liquid, Maye, water. Masculine is dry, earth. 704. 3/4 of this planet is water and only 1/4 is land. 705. Just as you see the chromosome stems, feminine, X, all 4 stems. Masculine, Y, only 3 stems. 1 missing stem, making the masculine 1/4 and the sacred feminines 3/4 to make 4/4. 4 plus 4 equals 8. 706. Sabab or Geb is masculine, earth. Natat or Nut is sky, wind. Breath, which is air, as in oxygen. Or 8 octawads, octave, oxygen. Colorless, odorless gas, chemical element is essential to life processes and to the combustion from combust, meaning to burn. That is the heat in the feminine's raham womb and the heat in the feminine's famam mouth. Understood? Yes. So remember, they call it the balsal body temperature. That's one of the ways which you know your menstrual cycle is coming, and you are at an optimum point as well for reproduction, is because your body temperature raises, you understand, before your menstrual cycle. You understand? And so we can see here all of these, the different symbolism that we're speaking about here. The most important thing to us to understand, it relates to us because we are a universe. Understood? And this is why know thyself is what the master gave us as a wise advice for us. Know thyself does not just relate to people thinking it's to study black history and all that. It means know how the body works. Yeah, because that is the universe in closest proximity to you that you can identify to understand the inner you as well as the outer you and the environment you find yourself in. So this information is important And you can see why both feminine need to understand, but also masculine need to understand, who are responsible, you understand, when we come together. If we both think about race loyalty, race protection, understood, then we have to make changes in these early generations, which are in now, coming in with this new knowledge, yes, in order for the future children now to be at a point where they're not making this, they haven't made the same mistakes that we made en masse, and they're having understanding, not because we say don't do this or don't do that, but they understand that, and they understand the reasons why not to do it. They understand their role in protecting the race and protecting their own ancestral line, not just what's the word I'm looking for? Reacting to their own individual needs at the time. You understand? We talked about selfish versus selfless. Now, of course, we've got selfish needs, but at a certain point, we have to ensure that it works with our also selfless duties. Yeah? And so both men and women have to control our lust, which is one of the things you learn, isn't it, when you become part of these sacred orders. You understand? What came you here to do? There's a question that's asked for the men. What came you here to do? Yeah, for those who know the answer to that. One of the answers is to, control one's lust, subdue your what? Passions. Sex is a powerful force. Yeah, after mind, which is a mental force. 9 and 6 exist in us in both ways. Understand? But when we talk about Femi-nine, we talk about living by mind, rules body. We talk about masculine, we talk about mind, rules body. Yeah, which is different to the Femi-6. Yeah, so they want to downplay your greatness. Yeah, but the Master Teacher came along, and what is called Gospel of Yaanuwn, message to the Sacred Femi-nine, long before it came into book form, the Sacred Femi-nine had special classes, teaching them this knowledge, and it was away from men. So this is what you would have learned in these orders, these secrets, you understand? Which, once men learn them and know them, understood, then men also must be responsible in the way in which they use it. Not start being stupid and say, well, you had 4 women, I'm not interested. 4 men, blah, 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 blah. Well, who's responsible for that? Men are responsible for that as well. So in these early generations, we have to make sacrifices in order for what? To produce star children once again. So the changes in environment have to be made. Changes in us have to be made. Living for and by one another and following these Partakiod, and not, human beings are human beings, but falling into lust and making bad decisions. Most children are born out of lust. They're not born out of planning. You understand? So yes, we make the best of the situation, but you get what you get. If you're cooking a meal, or planned meal, you got to think about the ingredients that you're putting in. If you're making a specific type of meal, making, I don't know, vegetable lasagna, whatever the case may be, then you got to think about the type of ingredients that go in. It needs to be in the oven a certain time. You got to cut certain things a certain way, etc., etc. It's not just put the ingredients in and fling them in an oven and see what's going on, because you're going to get chaos. Instead of what you originally wanted or what you originally planned. So children is the same way. It just happens that your ingredients are inside your physical body, and also your delivery mechanism, understood. And the females have, an internal cook and an internal oven to, produce those children. So whatever we put in is what's going to come out. You understand? And whatever is in the liquid, within the womb, is going to become part of the child. You understand? Both male and female. Yes, if you put your dick in multiple places, understood, and then put it in the one place to produce a child, then all those places that you put it in, to some degree, yeah, depending on the amount of time, you understand, that has passed between that, you risk that becoming part of the child. And what's happening is that internal conflicts then are happening, isn't it? So if two males don't like each other, yeah, because one is jealous of the other one externally, yes, but then through whatever process, there's seed ends up inside that woman, then guess what? Cellular wars are taking place. And those results of those cellular wars are going to mean internal damage. And as it's expressing here, thoughts affected. That internal damage may be fibroids produced internally. Yeah, it might even be because of slackness. It can be incompatible DNA, obviously, with your cycle. So even two males don't like each other, ex-boyfriend, new boyfriend, or then boyfriend in that culture, mate, yeah, will can fight against each other, as well as dealing with your own immune system, because they're foreign entities, as well as your own 30 ancestors. So don't think that because nobody saw you hook up with this particular individual, well, your internal grandpa, grandmother, mother is in there also to have a say about, hey, who's this inside your body now? When we really understand who and what we are. Yeah. So us learning about this also means that, as I say, we've made mistakes, or we made certain mistakes through ignorance, or maybe we made mistakes knowing and we subjected or submitted to the power of lust, whatever the case may be. But we can't run from the truth. You've done what you've done, you understand? It's about us. Well, okay, each step forward, we can just try to, or seek to do better. You understand? If we don't manage it in this lifetime, then you understand, well, we've got others that we can reincarnate back into and seek to do better. You understand? But not run from the truth. Oh, I've done this, boom, boom, boom. And then people now, you only live once. That doesn't apply to us. Yeah? And then okay, well, I'm back in the clubs. So I'm doing what I'm doing. Understand? I'm just living my life. Boom, 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 boom. Because you feel like you've messed it up. Understood? Perfection is what we're seeking to achieve, not perfect in that regard. And so we're not being perfect, we're seeking to achieve perfection. So we're working towards, understand, being perfect. Yeah, and if you fall and step along the way, hey, it is what it is. You need to get up, dust yourself off, yeah, and keep it moving. Understand? As we say, if you know better, do better. So both have to understand, yeah. It doesn't matter whether you're in a position, this, that, whatever the case may be. It does not matter. Yeah, the rules of nature apply to us all as a race. Everybody has a responsibility. Not, well, because that person's in such and such position, then they should be better than what I'm better than. Yes, of course, you must live and be an example. Yeah, but you're all in position. We're all in position. We're all supreme beings. So stop pointing fingers. Yeah, it doesn't say, well, the rules only apply to a person in a leadership position. That's how they keep tricking us. So every time something happens, well, okay, well, pull down that person from the position. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're on a madness and you're doing things that go against the job that you've been employed to do, then yes, you must be brought down, you understand, and somebody else put in place. But the thing of pointing fingers when you and your own life ain't correct, yeah, in nature's rules, everybody's in position. And everybody must play a role in maintaining the system, which is why we're saying part, yeah? Everybody must understand this. So yes, you can play a part in protecting the race. A man can't go around sticking his dick in different women, boom, 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 boom. They don't know about each other, etc., etc. You're polluting the divine line. Yes. So imagine that in this society. I think we said it before. In this society, you have three wives. Yeah? Have three wives if you're a man or women. You choose a man, you've got a three wife situation. They're going to put you in prison and claim that you are the devil incarnate because you are sleeping with three women and they're sleeping with you, and you have got an organized setup in how you run your situation. Understand? And rules, etc., that you apply to each other to keep your gene pool or circle tight. But a man, as I say, I saw in one of these reality TV programs, he wasn't even 30 years old, and he had claimed to have slept with 1,000 women. So you think about the damage, if we understand these rules, how much damage has he caused? Because you know he wasn't responsible with that kind of number. So what genes was he exchanging? How many ancestral lines, depending on the type of women he was, did he mess up by way of his own ego and recklessness to say, yeah, well, I've had this much fun, or I've slept with this, I'm the guy, boom, 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 boom. But you know what? In the program, when he said it, people laughed. They shrugged their shoulders. Yeah? There was no accountability in this society for that kind of behavior. Yeah, put it in a controlled way. Yeah, they got names for you. But chaos can reign. That's because, why? Because their seed, their ancestors told them, hey, you need to mix with everybody else to keep our genes alive. So it made it their business to spread their seed or their disease seed, yeah, in all that stronger races, as a parasite. A parasite needs stronger beings or linked beings to live off in order to survive. This is why you need your own stuff. Because everybody doesn't have the same intentions. All races don't have the same intentions. All races don't have the same rules that apply to their liberty in existence. So you recognize in us creating a positive or agreeable society in Wu-Sabat to become supreme beings again, you not only have to correct self, understood first, we have to be in the right environment, and we have to understand who everybody else is so that we don't, as I say, enact behaviors that, as I say, pollute our ancestral line and then lock us off, let's say, from our higher faculties and abilities and skills that are part of who we are as supreme beings. Other questions?
No questions.
So 8 is the oxygen, and then if you look here very closely, excuse me, yeah, I know it's a bit difficult to see, but we see the eternity symbol that we were talking about earlier, or the 8 on its side. Understood? Now, here we go. So 8 octave, and symbol of infinite. No, the reason masculine age faster and die sooner is because feminine have 8 telomeres on the tips of their chromosomes, while men only have 7 at the end of his chromosomes. 709, the telomeres control aging of the person. 710, the chromosomes are microscopic rod-shaped bodies carrying the genes. The genes are the units in the chromosomes by which hereditary characteristics are transmitted. So you're aware of this. Let me just quickly draw it, maybe for people not familiar. Yeah, so basically those telomeres are at the tips, aren't they? Yeah. So you can see the telomeres at the tips. And so the double X as a female, she has more than the male, doesn't she? So when you look at XY, he has the one less. Yeah, hence why the women live longer than men, because the telomeres denote how many times the cells replicate. So what happens is that each time Yeah, because the body is constantly renewing itself. Understood? Constantly renewing itself. You're getting blood turned over every 6 to 8 weeks. Cells are regenerating. Organs are regenerating themselves. Understood? And so what happens is each time, yes, the tips are getting shorter. Yeah, so no, it's not that, but the tips are getting shorter. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so they get shorter. So you know before how long a person basically is broadly going to live by analysing the chromosomal structure. Understood? Yes. So here we see structure of DNA, which we were talking about earlier. These histones wrapped around these histones so they can fit within the nucleus of the cell, made up of obviously these 4 base pairs, guanine, cytosine, adenine, and thymine. We've shown you before. You see that 9 sound, or the Ein principle, is even in these words. Yeah, so all these numbers and things that, or these terms that they're using, you see how they tie back into your culture and your numerology. Remember, the Sabian is supposed to be what? A numerologist, factologist, and ontologist. 3 attributes. I'm sure we're more than that as well, but ontologist, factologist, numerologist. So we are interested in the science of numbers. Understood? And their importance as it relates to our culture. So 7112. Deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is a basic chromosomal material containing and transmitting the hereditary pattern. 713. Ribonucleic acid, or RNA, is an essential component of all living matter. One form carries genetic information. 714. Your health. 715. Your mental state of akal, mind. 716. Your physical structure. 717. Your life. How long you will live is also passed on by your Yachasu genes. 718. So when you mix your genes with a masculine, you exchange all of the above. Yeah, so this is why we're learning this stuff, because if that wasn't your intention and no one told you, then it's an unfair situation, isn't it? Because somebody is making use of the fact of your ignorance. So your ancestors had to send a teacher to you so that when you're making decisions, you've got a fair choice of optimizing. If you choose their way of life, and if you choose your ascension journey, it's fair because you were at least given all of the information. You wasn't tricked. You had all of the information this day and time to make the right choices in order to transform. If you chose because you loved, the things of this world and what he has to offer, which many people still do like them, even though there's a mix between the two. Yeah, they don't hate this world as much as they purport to hate it. Understood? Yeah, they love the things of this world, but what are you doing more of? What are you working more towards? Them or us? You understand? And so, yeah, these are the decisions we have to make, because it was unfair when we didn't know, but somebody was tricking us. But now, with all of the line of the great teachers that have come and brought the truth of their time, you're now in the end days times where all false things must perish and facts now must prevail as a new spirituality in this day and time. 719, all his 4 generations mix with you. 720, that is health-wise. 721, that is mental state. 722, and how long his Yasar family lives. 723, all this is affected by the exchange and contact with or between bodies and fluids. So what car a person drives is not relevant more than what's in their genes. How much money a person's making is not more relevant to what is in their genes. Yeah, in terms of being a provider, or who you hook up with, because you're going to be affected internally. Yeah, and it takes up to, or can take up to 9 years, yeah, naturally to rid the female body out of that, those foreign genes. Up to 9 years. It's certain rituals are performed. Yeah, so it's not a case that you can just do. Well, you can do what you want. You can do what you want, but it has consequences. So all this thing in society, don't judge this person, don't judge that person. Well, you don't have to judge them, etc. But you do have to understand the consequences of certain behaviors. Yeah, consider this thing now. Well, that's sex shaming. If you are against prostitution. What I'm saying is, hey, if people want to do prostitution or people want to use prostitutes, that's their business. But you can't build a functional nation off of that kind of behavior. You understand? This is why it's frowned upon. The issue that we are saying, and maybe I keep repeating the same thing, is that we were doing things out of ignorance. That was the problem. We're following something out of ignorance. We didn't know the how and the why. Now you're getting to understand the how and the why. You understand why you do things. What needs to go into being love and unity. You say love and unity, but you need to know what goes into it in terms of your own individual behaviors and actions that contribute to it. It's not words more so than it's actions. Yeah, and the right type of actions from right mental thinking. Yeah, so this is why it's important. This is why the spell had to be removed. Are they going to make those decisions when they're left now? They have the. Are they going to make? How sincere are they? Are they going to follow in our ways, i.e., Partakiod? Are they going to follow in their ways once the choices have been given to them? Once they have their own choice, once they have their own mind again, or are they going to choose, the ways of the Muadamu, the ways of the Makasu, the ways of the Caucasian? Are they going to be overpowered in their choices, by the genes that were falsely placed with him, by the environment that he has created in and around them, and forsake their divine right, their divine heritage? How sincere are we, is the question that's being asked. And we don't make it easy for ourselves, or they know it's not going to be easy for ourselves if the genetics are confused. Which is why all that Tinder and all that's about. Living by lust. Not divine love. And everybody's subject to it. We know how good orgasms, choice, all these things feel. But we also know the amount of problems it creates when it's not regulated or controlled properly. So each individual has to do their part for the system to work. I'm in the love of all. All love is in, part and whole are the same. That's why you can't look and say, oh, that person, that position, or that person this, that person that. Because we're all interconnected. We're all affected. So everybody has to take responsibility. What have you done to make this thing progress? What have you done to implement Wu-Sabat? What have you done in your life? You understand? Because the amount of hours you put in, is one of the results is going to affect change. If you're not putting in the hours to make certain things happen, then things are going to stay exactly the same way they are. So we have to find ourselves and create systems that benefit us as a whole. And understanding these rules is very important, which I say, they have to be mastered. How long has this book been out? And some of you are just hearing this thing for the first time. So this is why it's necessary for this information to be in everybody's hands so that we can all act accordingly if we choose to do so, because we want better living. You understand? That's why it's sold you in those higher orders. You become the building blocks for a better life. Each one of us becomes a building block for a better life. So you have to shape you as that stone or ashlar, cut yourself into the necessary shape, you understand, to build the one pyramid of all of us. And you have to cut yourself. You have to shape your being and maintain that shape. As part of the system, for as long as you are able to breathe. 722. So how long his Yasar family lives? 723. All this is affected by the exchange and contact with and between bodies, fluids. 724. It is best to know his and or her genealogy. 725. His or her lineage. 726. Her, its age, heritage. That which is inherited from one's Salafu ancestors, your 4 generations. 727. Ancestor, person from whom one is descended. Ancestry. 728. You have inside you active right back 4 generations from both your mother's genes and your father's genes. 729. And all the persons those 4 generations exchange fluids with. 730. So how long you live is in actual fact determined by all you mix with and whomever your Salafu ancestors mix with. There was a question asked, I think a few classes ago, saying about, how did we lose our powers? And you can see here, yes, mixing in with those with foreign genealogy. Mixing in with those who represents the dead, destruction, decay. At one time, death was foreign to our genes. Hence how you have an evergreen tree. It is evergreen. It's not subject to the ups and downs of the seasons. It's consistent output of energy. But even if we do have low points, they're not low. They're low for us, but they're not low. They're to the point of death. Low energy also, what death can represent. You understand? So you see how much correction needs to be done here to realign, as I say, all of those genetics so they're vibrating at the right frequency relating to the right race. 731. So Femi-nine, for this upcoming 24,000 years, our new story, which is recorded by who? By Femi-nine, by way of her mitochondrial DNA, the recorder of our race genealogy. So are we talking about our story as it relates to Black History Month in October in England or Black History Month in February? Is that our story? Is our story in books? We talk about our story. Is it on computers? Is it on websites? No. The rewriting of our story is in our genes. This information helps to correct and realign our behaviors, and gives us the influencing factors that help us to realign, because we're changing our behaviors, we're inheriting good or positive attributes for race. But the story is written where? So our story, yes, when you talk about past, present, and future, you see it there in the now, in our genes. So if we don't correct our story, which is what the purpose of the Amun Nabab Rayet Akhtar is, to clean that up, renew our story. Yes? Is it just us learning about what came before? No. You see it right here. Renewing our story is cleaning up our genetics. That's why that book is written. Gospel of Yaanuwn, what? For the Sacred Femi-nine, speaking to the females. And Sacred Masculine, of course, have a role to play within that, protecting the genes. It's not just protecting the genes from attack, it's protecting our genes from controlling our lustful behaviors. Also. Just because you can get away with doing something doesn't mean that you should do it. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, so
just a second. My apologies. There is one question. It's been put in the chat. Let's have a look. Oh, I can't make it scroll. All right, carry on, and I'll see if I can make sense of it for the next time.
I see there's a question there. We are reading from, at the moment, the Gospel of the Sacred Femi-nine, Lotus of Life, and that's Actual Facts 23. So that's where we're reading from. So it is the feminine who writes our story and renews it every 24,000 years. 733. The feminine, after 400 years of mixing and diluting her Yachasu genes with others, must rebuild our divine DNA. 734. And must start by protecting the young feminine of our race. 735. And from the mixing with regressive genes, even in our own Salah race, after rape by the Kukasu or Mukasu, Caucasoids, and then being trained to desire his image in our own. So as you see, most seek a lighter skinned male than themselves to breed with. 736. Our sacred feminine must learn to seek stronger melaninites to rebuild our race genes. 737. This gospel of Yaanuwn I reveal to my blessed children. Pa Munwapu M Pa Shabat M Yamasu M Munwapu, the Nuwapians of the tribe Yamasi of Nuwapians. 738. And just what makes the feminine divine is what takes place in her womb, which is linked to the Wahu Makwan or Makwan universe. 739. Just as the birth of a universe in the omniverse, the great mother. 740. As her belly and raham womb is a vacuum, ball shape, so also the root seed of a universe being grown attracts material into a whirl to become a tapal world. 741. So also the raham womb, the ovum, seed or egg attracts the sperm, semen, and then turns or whirls into a person, a worldly being. 742. My blessed children of Wunuwap, or Wu-Sabat. This, my gospel, is reaching inside you to awaken the divine you. Hence, we were talking about earlier. Yes, about putting yourself in a position to be informed in order to be transformed. 743. So in it, both it expands or grows as it rotates like a nebula or a new baby. So you see the powerful picture here, overstood, where we've shown this before, where in other guises, where we've shown you a comet hitting the earth is the same as a sperm hitting the ovum. Now you see sacred feminine and sacred masculine, how the embryo, obviously in its formulation, is the same as how the nebula, group of collection of stars and gases are formulated in the universe. Out space and in space, the rules are exactly the same. We are carrying that message from the source in our divine design as part of what we are as supreme beings. So it's saying 744. So you see what happened in the birth of this one universe is the same thing that happens inside the feminine. The cycles of growth and expanding into living beings, or mikwakat, or misbatat, or miahatat, planets, stars, and moons, and so much more. 745. So as this universe birthed this mishmash sun and placed in the center of this solar system, 746, also the mother births this sun and places in his center a solar plexus, central sun, 747. So in human beings, the early development stage of pregnancy is the embryo stage, 748. So this also is the early development stage of a Wahu Makwan universe. Since natural nature, science maintains that natural nature and all its universes or multiverses are living. 749. Organized rational beings from the standpoint of original creation and birth is the exact same. Yes? Organized rational beings from the standpoint of original creation. Religion did not make us rational. In the book, my brother, the extraterrestrial, says Wu-Sabat is looking for intelligent people. Yeah, intelligent people. Yeah, for us to be able to see these things. We're not trying to convince people by saying that we're right. We're looking for intelligent people who are analytical thinkers. Yeah, they're able to assess certain things and make decisions based off of that factual information. Determine what is useful from what is not useful, what is fact from what is lies and fiction. Yeah. The 750, this does not take place in the masculine, only the feminine. 751, a nebula universe is an embryo universe, a universe of natural nature growing life. So what we see here is the 5 elements within the 99 elements, which are the base elements needed in Project 24 to support life. Understood? Obviously, there's 99 elements, but there's these ones here specifically to support life, and they add up to the number 24, as you can see here, based on the numbers that they're given on the periodical table. Yes, we've got hydrogen, helium. Obviously, all life forms in this universe are carbon-based. Nitrogen and oxygen. Understood? Yes. So, interesting enough, when we see intertwined elements, we highlight out of the 5 here. Yes. Remember, to the 9, we're talking about the physical sun being created and temp creates neon. But here, the base elements here that we need: hydrogen, helium, carbon, see there, nitrogen, oxygen, and here as our 5. And interesting enough, when we look at our sacred orders, it's not for me as a sacred masculine to reveal what's in their stuff, but if we look at the different orders here, yes, and we look at the original Egyptian Masonic order of the Eastern Stars here, what do we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do we see here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Foundation, basis. Yeah, what's it saying to you here? Yeah. 5 elements of life, without which is no life. So we're not saying these statements to be egotistical or to boost up women's ego. Women, you need to understand, or Sacred Feminine, you need to understand who you are. This is why I'm saying to you that it'd be better that I even wasn't even teaching this. Better that you all are teaching this. Yeah, because it's you. Yeah, I can teach you from a perspective because, yeah, we understand it from a certain point of view. But as a woman, you don't come into the doctrine like some women want to do. Just teach women subjects. Just teach what's been given. And teach doctrine. The doctrine is female. It's all female. There's not female subjects. It's all female. Yes? So all of it is. There's nothing that's not. They're birthed from this. Yeah, this is what it's saying, isn't it? Yeah. Comes from female this. So how come this book hasn't birthed hundreds of feminine teachers? And I can sit back and get back and go and do something else. And others, there's not female teachers, there are. But I'm saying more in terms of this book transforming to say, hey, yeah, religion's done. I keep saying it before. Religion is done once women start teaching this doctrine. Religion's over. There's no basis because there's no speculation. The woman can turn around and say, well, I am a universe. What you got to say? We telling me. I am this. Look up in the night sky. You see how I flex. You see how I work. You see how it's birthed. Say those who have birthed a child, no one can't tell them nothing. There was no sacred being or anything like that involved. We are that. And it's within us. Placed. Purposely. All the things that you are calling your deity is within us, creator. Yeah, what term have they got that is not us? The yielder, the most merciful, they call Allah. Go and look up the words. Yeah, it ties into the Raham, it ties into the womb. So did the master teacher know, hey, someone asked him the question, is the Messiah a female? And he sort of stepped back in a bit of amazement to the question. And you understand why now. There's not a Messiah concept in Wu-Sabat. Let me just correct that for a second. Yeah, that's a biblical concept. But however, we do have our own story of what? Arashtat and Hara, which we went through some detail in our previous classes. And how she got the power from Reye, and she passed it on to her son Hara, who was to keep the sacred word until the end of all time. So a woman anointed, yes, a woman anointed the so-called Jesus story, or Hara, which is why at the center of the Dendora star map is a hippopotamus. It represents the female. Yeah, but we're sitting here not paying attention to the details within our doctrine. Yeah, we're taking the master teacher and what our ancestors has given us for a joke. Because the real way to learn this is to teach it to others. Yeah, because now you're seeking to correct aspects of the network so they vibrate in the right frequency for the benefit of us all. Not for us as individuals. As Muhammad Ali said, the rent you life what's it saying? I've forgotten it. It's gone from my head for a second. You understand? But you know what I'm saying. Rent you pay for your life here on earth, something like that. You understand? Yeah, Muhammad Ali famous saying. So it denotes service. Yeah, I've hashed that up terribly, but you understand? Yeah. But it's denoting service. It's denoting service. A higher state of living is when we're in service to others. And that's when the help from the Natharu kicks in. When it's to do with your life, that's when the help from your ancestors, your Salafu, kicks in if you request it of them. If you put your energy requesting it from a Jesus or Muhammad, people not of your own bloodline, then you basically not only denigrate, but you basically diminish that power. Yeah, you can lose it. So we have to be careful where we direct our emotional energy. It's just come back to me. Service to others, yeah, is the life you pay for your rent here on earth. Yeah, famous quote from Muhammad Ali. You understand? But it encapsulates what we're talking about here. Yes. So you see the base genetics, base elements for life here, for our life form to progress. Yeah. And we'll just finish on these aspects here. So we can get into this Femi-nine so that you understand this even further. So, 752. It is an immense physically and also spiritually living orb of gases with physically and spiritually living universe orbs and bodies as the Akhasat cells and organs, bodies scattered and spotted throughout its physical existence. 753. Now, Nuwapians or Sabians, with that, can you see how the feminine is linked to the Kalei Makwanat omniverse? And she is a Wahu Makwan, universe at work. 754. Her body cycles with the lunar or moon. 755. And each month, she is Mother Nature. 1000%. M other. Yes, we're seeing it all tie back around again. 756. All others grow inside her. She grew this very universe you dwell inside, still in her womb, and always seek to re-enter her womb, attracted as matter or physical. 757. This gospel of Yaanuwn, of the Sacred Femi-nine, reveals to you, Sabians, her 9 daughters and secrets. 758, a universe of nebulas with the original mother goddess star, Ra'ye-Tat of this universe, who from its center birthed 9 daughters. This week, I think on the, an article, I think it was from the BBC, from the BBC. I'm just checking. I remember source. I placed it in the chat area. But they took a picture in the article, basically. They took a picture of the black hole that is at the center of our galaxy, which makes up, for those who really understand it, it makes up the picture of the all-seeing eye. The article there. They took a picture of it. For those who need that kind of confirmation in our culture, showing you again, the structure of the way universes are set up and aligns itself with the structure of the feminine. Understand? Or our structure as Nagaru, understand? Feminine, manifested now physically or in the physical. So a universe of nebulas with the original mother goddess star, Ra'ye-Tat. So Ra'ye, sun, obviously Tat, as you know, female. Of this universe, who from its center birthed 9 daughters. 759, excuse me. Ra'ye-Tat forms within herself an embryo of natural nature. 760. Ra'ye-Tat has the energy of 9 reasons, 9 minds. 761. And with them concentrates and initiates the divine growth of others called planets, extraterrestrial planets, or planetae. 762, from constellations to galaxies to solar systems, a fetus in which all true planets, stars are fully formed and developed. 763, all from the mother sun, Ra'ye-Tat. 764, she initiates and the formulation and development of the 9 daughters from her core or womb. 765, and the full growth around the core takes place. 766, Ra'ye-Tat, the great mother of this solar system, promotes the development of this one Khatat body or universe from the omniverse. 767, from her fetus is born 9 daughters. 768, when all true fetuses are fully formed and developed and ready to be born, you had the feminine daughters. You have 769. You have 1, Ma'at, harmony. You have 2, Neith, creativity. 770. You have 3, Patawaret, protectress. You have 4, Hatat Haratat, attraction. You have 5, Sakartat, breath. You have 6, Sahamtat, strength. You have 7, Sabthat, healing. You have 8, Nakhakbatat, eternity. You have 9, Sashat, records. 771. The 9 daughters of the mother goddess, Ra'ye-Tat or Ratat, are 1, the harmony. 2, the creativity. 3, the protection. 4, the attractive. 5, the breath of life. 6, the powerful. 7, the curing powers. 8, the keeper of times. 9, the record keeper. 773. The feminine's reasonings born from the divine mother, Ra'ye-Tat, him, Ra'ye-Tat, mother, Ratat, him, and Ra'ye-Tat, radiate. So you see here the pictures of these 9 deities, the Femi-nine, they're referred to as, They're pictures. The first Femi-nine, the first emanation of the one feminine supreme being, also known as absolute natural nature, Femi-nine, 774. 9 or Nigon is capable of creating or growing things honoring both masculine and feminine principles. They are the combination combination of all energies of existing materials of matter, atomic and cellular. 775. And the Wapians, remember, brain is the base of all creation, be it natural nature or by feminine, or artificial or unnatural nature by masculine. 776. Creative reasoning is the most powerful kind of reasoning, followed by reasoning capable of finding the right answers to sensible questions and the correct solutions to life existence. Yes? 777. 9 ether, 9 reason, 9 mind, 9 energy out of herself, like the streaks of electric illumination, just as the body's veins, as you see it, as lightning linked to nerves, and at the end of each streak of ethereal energy. Excuse me. 778. In this Gospel of Yaanuwn, the Sacred Femi-nine, you see how it all begins in other. Yeah. So, any questions before we close out for today? Any questions?
No questions.
Okay, so you're seeing this correlation. I just probably want to get to finish what I was going to say here, and probably we will close out for another class today. See how much detail this thing takes. Now, 779, and the incarnated feminine is 9. 1, Atumtat. 2, Nuntat. 3, Hartat. 4, Kaktat. 5, Amuntat. 6, Tafafnatat. 7, Natat. 9, Ashtat or Arashtat. Sorry, 8, excuse me. Ashtat or Arashtat. And 9, Nababtat Hatat. Yeah, so incarnated 9, so incarnal form, correct? The Mutmamu Ogdoads and the Mutsa'u Iniads. 780. And when true stars, original sun heat genes, were fully formed and fully developed by the brain of brains and sound right reasoning, then the fetus of this solar system was ready to give birth. 781. And you, Pa Nagar Salau, the Negroid race, was born. When the fetus develops and the development of a person or thing is complete. 782. That race of people or things of origin is ready for birth or creation. 783. The Nawapians hold, the same Nawapians or same Musbatu, hold true for universe fetus. 784. When all the sun heat genes, the true star, Kharadu, children of this one universe, were fully shaped and developed by their cause, this universe is ready to grow out of Chamemnus, darkness, Chamamu, blacks, or Pa Mukhamu, the Egyptians, in Mahmat, Egypt, of the Afafreye Ka'ah. 785. The brain of that race, the original race on this planet, or third from Raye, as you see, the feminine, you had groups of, so you have 3 groups of them. 786. So the physical brain needed an abode for support, protection, harmony, creative powers, attractions, breath, curing, records, and time, or simply the 3. 1, space. 2, time. 3, matter for birth and recreation. 787. These 2 have support for survival. 788. So the brain grows those supports, or the omniverse grows from the center of attraction and control of this solar system of 9 planets. 1 Mercury, 2 Venus, 3 Earth, 4 Mars, 5 Jupiter, 6 Saturn, 7 Uranus, 8 Neptune, 9 Pluto. 789. This brain of 2-sided is herself and himself. The right side and the left side called hemispheres. That is Chem is sphere, yeah, black round body. 790. Chem is black sphere, is any round body having the surface equally distant from the center of all points. Orb, black ball, black dot. 791. Suns are the center of attraction. Each one of you are a center of attraction and control your own solar plexus system. Yes, which is the point that we were making earlier, that every person or every Nagaru person is part of the network. Yeah, which is why the first stage of right knowledge, right wisdom, knows understanding, to deal with yourself first. Yeah, it's a self-help solution that then enables you to work with others. Excuse me. 792, this, my gospel, I record from my race and tribe, united, Sabians now, nation of Yamasee Aboriginals of this planet, the first world people. 793, we as Nagaru Negroids are the exact same feminine mother goddesses. 794, basically, scientifically, and genetically, all individual species and races of individuals on this planet called Earth, and elsewhere. And so we've got a good understanding, as I say, there of, and there's not more to go in that class. We left on a lot, in that book, left a lot on the table, but it's only to correlate with what this other is dealing with, yeah, and how you see the same, yes, how you see, as I say, these symbols left in the same system where they knew the power of this, and because of who they are and who their ancestors are as patriarchal, a lot of this stuff was left hidden. Understood? Yeah, so you see that M, which represents 1,000, and you see, as I say, those 3 zeros are representing that triad principle. Yes, you're starting to see. And then remember, you were shown at 3 one time, you were shown 3x3. Yes, so you're now beginning to understand how this is sort of hanging together or coming together, in terms of, yeah, that symbolism being unraveled, understood, yeah, and shown to us who we really are, because obviously ultimately about us, to inform us so we can take up our position and responsibilities in terms of managing this and our role within existence. So you see that, one symbol, yeah, just the understanding of one symbol, how many hours have we just taken just to unpick and explain that, and still left a lot on the table. Yeah, so where I say we can't be ignorant of the darkness, we should be seeking it. Understood? Yeah, locking in our subconscious mind for answers to these questions. Understood? And you saw, or read, I should say, about creative reasoning, which we were dealing with, yeah, with that brain soup, is the most powerful type of all reasoning. The most powerful type, creative, what's responsible for growth, yeah, within existence. Yeah. So with that, I think it's a good time to finish. We've overloaded you a bit. So hey, next class will be on the 12th of June, so 1 week later than our usual time for this month. It'll be on the 12th of June. And what we're going to do, basically, we're going to finish off this in its same kind of guise, but we're going then straight into Lotus of Life Revisited. So what we're going to do is to help people kind of understand. I think it's probably an apt time to go back into the Lotus of Life. Probably if we'd done it differently, we might have done it the other way around. But we're going to go back into Lotus of Life, and then set the context so even these help us to make even more sense. So Lotus of Life, as you know, is going into the science of the brain. So some of the other things that we didn't cover in this class, we did cover a lot from Lotus of Life, but some of the other things that we may need to cover, the relationship between men and women from the core, and why Parnatharu, for those who are not familiar with the book, why Parnatharu created things like the computer, etc., to position women in a point where she could take herself out of the role that she was locked into by being locked in the house, being constrained by, I suppose, arguably religious and societal cultures, to put her in a position where she was able to make wealth so she could be reestablished in her sacred feminine position, and able to have choice yeah, and put us back in a matriarchal position. Now, there's that energy now you can see has manifested itself and it's prevalent, but the media, like they did with the children born in after 1970, have taken up that kind of mantle and repurposed that energy to cause it to mean different things and not what it was meant to do or it should mean as the transformational power that our race needed, as you can see. And so it's been repurposed in different ways, creating this new kind of hypersexual being, which is only designed, as I say, as you can see, to mess up our genealogy and stop us activating our higher faculties and higher abilities in the current and in future generations. Understood? So we need to go into that in some detail, but we'll finish off this section with the symbols. Just got to cover regeneration cycles with 24,000 years and why we do that and why it's necessary. What is perfection? What are we working towards? Re-emphasize again what we mean when we're talking about basic energy, into, as I say, physical matter, and then step into, as I say, some of these subjects into Lotus of Life, and then how that informs some of the rituals around marriage, and how sacred masculine, sacred feminine come together, why we do things a certain way, and what all of us should be working towards, as I say, in future generations, yeah, in terms of by changing our behavior now. Understood? Okay, with that, thank you for staying a bit later than usual. Back on the 12th of June, as said, let me just put up some details for those who want to find more about us. Get that. All this goodness to come. So, excuse me, yeah, back on the 12th of June. If you want to find more about us culturally, UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com. There's also a tab on there. If you want to get these books or link in with your local All Eyes in Egypt store, they've got them positioned, different ones all around the world. So we'll finish this class, but step into Lotus of Life Revisited as part one. I don't know how many parts that's going to be. It's such a deep subject, but probably at least all of the month of June and maybe stepping into July as well. Understood. So remember, 1 week later than usual, 12th of June, and then we'll have class straight after that the next week in terms of 19th of June. So as I say, check your emails out. You should receive notifications of that. And if you missed any previous parts of this, then the YouTube channel link is on the screen, or just search All Eyes in Egypt, Midlands and the North on YouTube. You can catch any previous parts of the class that you may have missed. So any more questions before we close out for today?
No further questions.
Okay, no problem. Well, thank you everybody for attending today and paying attention. I trust that you've learned something new and have been able to connect and find something in what we've taught today that you can use to apply to your own behaviors and mentalities, so that we can all add to and improve to ourselves individually, but more importantly, as a race, you understand, and those who respect us for who we are, not what we have become. Understood? So take care all. Thank you for attending. We'll see you on the 12th of June. Okay, Wadu.